Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin, Buchanan.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I think we're coming into this year with a new confidence.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
that's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
It's the waiting game, I guess, because as fast as things have gone for Texas A&M coaching search, and if you consider it fast, now we got to wait. We got to wait for the rest of the staff to figure itself out. We got to wait for the bowl game. We'll find out what that is on Sunday. I think we all have a pretty good guess, but that's stuff we can get into this morning here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Ooh, wait. You look 10 years younger. My goodness. Look at you,
clean.
Dapper Dan.
Got clean. Yeah, got cleaned up. Needed to.
By the way, you forgot to get the mullet.
No, that was never on the table. But to your opening monologue there, or your opening comments, I think you're just reinforcing what Tom Petty told us so many years ago.
Remind me what he said.
He said the waiting, or actually the waiting, is the hardest part.
It is, isn't it hard? Like, we want to know so much. Like, we're still looking for hope. There's hope in Elko, but really the next layer of hope is, what is this staff, and does that mean people stay?
Yeah.
And does that mean new people come? Like, everything so far. Elko press conferences, reports back from Bronny and Jason Howell on how things are going with the commits and potential new guys, new recruits. Everything seems to be going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
It has not been a mass exodus into the portal. Been 3-4 guys have gone in,
and some guys that you expect, and some guys, quite frankly, you don't care.
Moko, okay, bye. Max Johnson, we expected him to go. Mm-hmm. Who am I missing here?
Remington Strickland.
Right, Remington Strickland. And I saw that he got offered by Houston yesterday. Congrats.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad they have other opportunities, but it didn't look like they were going to play.
Right.
Yeah. See, for me, the angst is that there's a contract on the table for Elijah Robinson, and has been for now a couple days. Mm-hmm. And as far as we know, it hasn't been signed. And so every day that it goes by, I get concerned. I can tell you back in, I can't tell you the exact year, but it's around 07, 08. Cal, my wife's alma mater.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons I was watching it so closely.
Was Tedford there then?
He was the head coach.
Okay.
And they were in the top 10 ranked in recruiting. And then their lead recruiter, Tosh Lapoy, left. Went to Washington, I think. And every day there was a decommit, and and they ended up having a class that was like between 30 or 40. So it can unravel. And
I've got a counter to that when you're done.
If I'm Olin Bjork here, right?
Yep.
I'm at a breakfast meeting right now, and I'm with Elijah, and I'm saying,
buddy, what's it gonna take?
What do you want?
¿Qué quieres?
What do you want? Now, within reason, I can't pay you more than Elko's making, but what do you want?
See, I would say my counter to that, by the way, everything you said, I agree. But if I want to be optimistic, Dave, why do I put it in quotes?
I don't know.
Optimistic Dave.
Because you're never optimistic, is that why?
Sometimes I am.
Okay.
I predicted the Alabama victory.
If you want to be right now, Nuño.
Right now, every day that Mike Elko is on staff with the current players is a chance for them to believe even more. Every day removed.
That's true.
Right? So every day that they get to see his way, every day that they have interactions with him is strengthening that relationship. And the further away you are from the Jimbo era, I think the stronger the relationships will be with the Elks.
I agree with that. I do. But I think that he's been your coach for a couple of days, and you got signing day coming up in about 3 weeks, all those things. So, and I think Elijah Robinson is this big, I don't know how much he weighs, not even going to try, but he's this big, muscular.
He's a Zeus.
Magnet.
Okay.
And all these players are drawn to him.
Yep.
And I would make sure I had that magnet.
Now I'm going to play the role of Elijah Robinson.
Okay.
I'm focused on getting this team ready for the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
A. B, let's see. It's smart to listen to your options out there. It's smart. So let me see what's out there.
All I know is this, because we don't know what's going on.
Right.
All I know is I've asked him twice, including right after the LSU game, do you want to remain at Texas A&M? He said, yes, I do. This is where my family is happy. I'm happy. I want to be here. Mike Elko wants him. Ross Bjork wants him. There's a contract out there. It apparently isn't signed. Maybe this is me being just having unnecessary angst. Okay, so again, maybe it's me. I'm having angst for no reason.
Let's not have angst. Let's have nothing but positivity right now. This weekend, over the next 7 to 10 days. I'm just throwing out a number. I know that Billy hates when I ask him for a date, but it's soon enough. By December, I would assume, by December the 18th to 20th, before signing day.
You asked Billy for dates?
For when is this going to happen?
Okay. I just wanted to clear that up. I knew y'all were close.
No, we're not that close. In fact, sometimes he gets upset with me, OB, and I get upset with him too. Anyway, I'm kidding, Billy. Anyway, by the 20th, you would think they have a better handle on the staff. You would hope, depending on this.
Maybe by the end of next week.
Maybe. What if it's a coordinator that's potentially in the playoffs? Do you wait it out? That's your guy? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever Elko thinks best. My angst is just on one guy that I think makes a huge difference in this program.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, there's other guys that make a huge difference in the program. It's a collective effort. Regardless, the direction the program seems to be going, the momentum is all pointing in the right direction. Everything feels better.
Yes.
Everything feels better.
It does. And I want to keep feeling better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like sundown. Right now, I keep feeling better when I'm feeling no pain.
By the way, that is Coffee Talk, presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of the morning by going to texags.com/coffee. Take a little sip right here. Let's check in with the people. Shall we do that?
Let's do that.
By the way, if you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it 979-693-1150. You can call us on that number. That would be the Brian Foley Law Hotline. Good people can have a bad day. Call Brian Foley Law. 936-596-0407. Serving Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, and the Brazos Valley. We go behind the glass and say hi to a very happy director, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, sir.
Yeah, it's Friday. It's fun back here. Everyone's in a good mood, so hope y'all are as well.
Arms are crossed.
Yeah, it's cold because it's K. But anyways, yeah. By
Happy
the way,
birthday, K.
Happy birthday, K. Nagley. Yesterday turned 22, right, K? 22, yeah. Anyways, I was kind of hanging out back here today, and Luke Evangelos, who's all the way in the back, showed me this rather interesting graphic put up by a Twitter account.
This is a science?
This is a diagram, if you will, of what-if scenarios. So
explain this to me, because I'm
starting
lost.
on the left, if Washington wins, we'll go to the Big 12 championship. If Texas wins, go to the SEC championship. If Georgia wins, and you kind of just follow it down. And at the very bottom, it has all those different top 4 scenarios. And my goodness, when's the last time?
I don't understand.
Anyways, what I'm getting at is when's the last time we've had this many possibilities going into a conference championship week? Because I feel like it's usually kind of cut and dry, but this year it seems like it could be very hectic.
I was going to bring this up actually later in the show, but I'm going to bring it up now, OB. Who are the 4 best teams in college football? 4 best. I'm not saying the teams that are going to go to the playoffs. The 4 best teams in college football.
Most deserving or best?
No, best 4 teams in college football.
The teams I think are the best 4 teams in college football are Michigan, Georgia, right now probably Oregon, and Alabama. Or Ohio State, but Alabama.
Should those 4 go to the playoffs?
No. I think there's
But isn't that what they say? The playoffs should be the 4 best teams?
Well, yeah, but we're saying, here's what we think. But, hey, Texas beat Alabama head-to-head. If they have the same record, why would Texas not go? This frustrates me because, and I'm not no Texas fan, but but I think about what if you were Texas A&M and you were in that situation?
They were.
And you beat somebody head-to-head.
Different, yeah.
And then they say, well, yeah, but that was in the second week of the season. Is it on your record? So do we decide that? When do we decide the games count? Yep. When do we? So I just don't. I think you have to, in order to be fair, you have to take out the human bias, and I think A&M was a victim of bias. People say, "Oh, well, Notre Dame's out there, Ohio State," which the Big Ten changed their own rules so Ohio State could get in, and A&M got hosed in 2020.
Right.
And I just don't think that it makes a powerful statement, at least in my opinion, when you beat a team by 10 points on the road.
So excessive
their place
on YouTube says the playoffs should not be for the 4 best teams. They should be for the 4 most deserving teams.
That's right.
Otherwise, why do you play the
Why
games?
do you play them? I mean, we're going to get to the point where, hey, at the beginning of the year, we're going to say, we think this team's better and this team's better. Why do we play the rest of the year? It's like they say Florida State shouldn't be in now, even if they go undefeated because they have the backup quarterback. Oh, so now why don't we just do it like soccer at the end of the game and just do, how they do penalty kicks?
Yep.
Well, why even play the game? Hey, let's just let your quarterbacks all line up and do a skills competition. Whoever wins that, because there's.
By the way, they kind of do that in college football.
There's 10 other games. Do they?
Well, in college football, they don't do kicks, but they do. Everybody gets a chance to score in overtime.
And they're still playing football in the framework of how the game is played. Mm-hmm. They don't just sit up and say, okay, we're going to kick field goals till somebody misses. So, and it's like, and if Washington, now go by the same rankings that are out now, if Washington loses a close game to Oregon, Washington will be 12-1. How do you keep them out? Because if they lose to Oregon, Oregon will be ranked. Oregon's 5th now. They'll be ranked no worse than 4th. Well, I have a win over the 4th-ranked team if I'm Washington.
Right.
And my only loss was to the 4th-ranked team. You tell me what other team that would be 12-1 would be able to say we beat a team that's ranked higher. Now, maybe Alabama if they beat Georgia, but that goes back to Texas.
Yeah.
So, there's all kinds of scenarios, but to me, they're just making certain things harder than they have to be.
Let me read one more YouTube chat before we check in at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Rhett says, Nuño, if we get 90,000 at Midnight Yell for the TU game next season, you should not shave for a year, and OB has to grow the mullet. This is where I say no. Not going to happen. Money maker, hair maker.
I'll tell you this. If you can get 90,000 and each one of them will contribute $1 to the Olin Buchanan Fund, I will get a mullet and go a year without shaving.
Bruh, I'd do it too.
It's a $90,000. So there's your. I'm just asking for everybody to contribute $1.
$1,
just one.
$1, nothing.
And I'll do whatever you want within reason, but within reason. But I would do that.
All right, let's go check in at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Hello, Hannah. Your mic's not on. That's embarrassing.
No, it totally is. That's
No, it's
all
not.
Nick's fault.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
What's up?
I feel like OB's within reason is different than other people's within reason.
Why do you think that?
I've heard you say some pretty outlandish things on accident, so there's no telling what actually is just like going on in there all the time. Am I wrong?
Well, I don't know if I've said the outlandish things on accident. I say a lot of outlandish things on purpose.
To even prove my point further. All right. Well, this week, volleyball, they took on TU in Austin, number 5, by the way. So it was a really, really good game. A&M took a set off of them, but ultimately they lost and ended their season. But Jamie Morrison, for his first season, really, really came out and showed what he was made of. They had an ending of 16-13 overall, and they were 8-10 in conference. But if you want to know a couple of things about the game, Athena Casapala, she got 9 kills and had 5 blocks to put her over the 150 mark with 151 blocks on the season. Logan Lednicki, she had a career high of 8 blocks, and Morgan Perkins matched the season high with 9 blocks for the game. So it was just a really good showing. They were selected to go to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2019, and it's their 26th postseason appearance in program history. So really very proud of what they had showed overall this year. Now to present times, men's basketball, they're preparing to play DePaul at home on Wednesday at 8 p.m. after a loss against Virginia. And women's basketball, they play Kansas Sunday at 1. They're 6-1 overall, and they won in North Carolina over Wake Forest on Thursday.
Yep, awesome stuff.
That would be last night.
That Thursday would be last night.
That is last
and
night.
And they beat them bad, too.
Yeah, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty.
We all anticipated that they were going to be significantly better.
Well, we saw it. They caught. I don't want to say they caught lightning in a bottle. They found their groove at the end of last season.
Well, they got some players healthy.
Yeah,
they had some. They weren't having to play with 6 or 7 players the whole year. The whole game.
Hannah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's hit a break. When we come back, 3 things we want to see this weekend. There's no Aggie football, so we're gonna have to dig deep. I haven't even thought about it. I got a couple things I can think about. I'm sure you do too, OB. Right now, though, I just found out that I have a meeting at a place that you might be familiar with next week.
How do you spell that meeting?
It starts with an F.
I was asking how you spell meeting.
Oh, meeting with an M. Oh, I see what you did there. MEEAT.
TING. Those are my favorite kind of meetings.
Yeah. You call it meat dessert when you go there.
Well, if it's, I call it meat dessert if I'm having rib tips, if I'm going on like a Tuesday or a Saturday. But like I said, I've always talked about Fargo's and how much I like the chopped brisket. I like that chopped brisket sandwich. I've had their pork ribs. I like those pork ribs. In fact,
tell me more.
I'll tell you more. If I was in charge
at Fargo's or here
of A&M athletics, okay, I'd be, hey Elijah, let's meet at Fargo's. Let's meet at Fargo's. I'm gonna try to bribe you with all the rib tips you can eat, as well as whatever else you want. In fact, when I called Elijah and say, hey, whatever you want, let's get this done, whatever you want, you know what? He might say, I want to go to Fargo.
Well, it's not far, right down the road in Bryan, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan, without a doubt. The what?
The best barbecue in Texas, which means it's the best barbecue in the galaxy.
Believe it or not, that happens to be their trademark.
Well, it's true.
It's Fargo's, by the way.
It is.
Yeah, Fargo's. The folks at Bryan Broadcasting, they listen.
Yeah, whoever.
It's got to be Sean, right?
Yeah, he's on top of things.
They're both on top of it. It's great. TexAgs Radio, we are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Appreciate everybody listening on the YouTube page, on TexAgs.com, on The Zone, watching on the CW8.
Almost to 13,000 subscribers, like 30 off. So if we can get there by the end of the show, let's do it.
You know what? If we can get to 100 likes by the end of the hour, Jace Sternberger at 9 a.m. That I can make happen.
What a great tight end.
Good dude. Good and bad. He's coming from my job, by the way.
I still remember that. Everybody remembers that completion against South Carolina. He dragged a guy about 30 yards. Man, what a good tight end.
So let's get him. Look, I can guarantee if we get to 100 likes, at least by 9 a.m., we will have him on the show. If we don't,
we'll have him on the show.
We'll probably have him on the show anyway because he's
can't
scheduled to be on the show.
I always thought, it's unfortunate they didn't have NIL then, because if I was a restaurant, I would come up with the Sternberger.
Que rico. Already sounds good.
Come up with how, hey, it's Jake, how do you like your burger? Okay, I'd market it as the Sternberger.
The Sternberger. So we have him, if we get 100 likes. If we get 200 likes, I can guarantee the McKinney brothers during the 10 o'clock hour.
Oh, those guys are fun.
If we don't get to 200 likes, it'll probably happen anyway, but I can't guarantee it.
I got to admit, now my favorite hour to listen, or the favorite time to listen to TexAgs all week is when the McKinney brothers are on.
They're fantastic. And if we get to 300 likes.
300 likes?
Right, which I can guarantee.
Billy Liucci's going to shave his head.
No.
Oh.
Billy Liucci will be in studio sometime between 9:10 and 9:36. If we get to 300 likes.
Let's get to 300 likes.
If we don't, I cannot guarantee. It'll probably happen, but I can't guarantee it.
Can you really ever guarantee it?
You're right.
Yeah.
But if we get to 300,
you can
I guarantee it.
Sternberger. You can guarantee the McKinney brothers.
Just saying. If we do that, and if we get the 400 likes,
yeah,
I guarantee we will do a TexAgs Rewind after the show. Guaranteed. No matter what. In fact, I'll even add a minute to the show. It's usually like, Nick, 10 to 12 minutes? Okay, thanks for answering.
I don't know. You're starting to sound like a coach that brags about getting his team into like the Texas Bowl. Like, so you're wanting to get rewarded for things you're just supposed to do, for not.
And if we get to 500 likes, I'm kidding. Let's get into 3 things we want to see. We're running our miles, brought to you by the Brazos Running Company, your local Aggie-owned specialty running store, where you can find Brooks on Hoka shoes, located at Century Square below the Star Cinema Grill in College Station. Olin Buchanan, please give me 3 things you want to see this week.
I want to see Georgia beat Alabama, because I always root against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see Oklahoma State beat Texas. I'd like to see that. And I would like to see, quite frankly, for the theater of it, I would like to see Oregon win a close game over Washington and just watch all the fighting that goes on.
Right. Yeah.
Well, who should be in?
Here are my 3. How about an Aggie women's victory over Kansas?
Okay. How about it?
I'm trying to keep it local, right? Keep it Aggie-centric. How about, just because I don't want to say a rooting interest. I have a dislike for a program or 2 out there. So how about no Armageddon in college football this year? Usually I want Armageddon. Mm-hmm. Like it's fun. Like, oh, look at all the like that little graphic that Nick showed us. Yeah. I was like, that gave me a headache, but I usually root for that. This year, because some of the teams outside trying to get in, maybe Bama, maybe Texas are coming to mind. I'm not going to be specific. Yes, Texas. But if there is no Armageddon, they're not getting in. So I root for that.
Can you imagine the angst if Alabama got in over Texas?
I'd be here for it.
And then, do you really leave out Georgia?
I can't. But then people will say, can you really leave out Ohio State?
Ohio State hadn't won 29 in a row.
This is true. But does last year play a role? It does.
It shouldn't, but
because people are human
in the minds of
right.
But, Georgia, they've got to win over number 9, Missouri, and number 11, Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Who can match that of the one-loss teams? Washington has that. If like I said, Washington would have a win over number 4 Oregon. They beaten Arizona, which is now number 15, and they beaten Oregon State, which is number 20. Who has a better resume than that? Even in a loss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's still going to be some angst.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be upset, and I hope it's the people that I don't like.
And my last one.
Okay.
Just because I don't want to play the waiting game for too long, I wouldn't mind another hire on the staff. Whatever. I'm not going to be picky. Could be
an offensive line coach.
It could be.
Yeah.
Could be DB coach.
Yeah.
And if they don't do it this weekend, I'm fine. But if you're asking what I want to see,
do we have a DB coach?
Currently, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a receivers coach.
But I'm just saying a little more clarity.
How about this? I got one for you.
Okay.
How about a special teams coach?
I like the way you think.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Hannah doesn't, but yeah, I like
sometimes
special teams coach.
Sometimes I like the way you think. Sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of times.
I'm special.
But if we
teams coach,
if we can get those 3 things to happen, I think it'll be a good weekend for me.
Okay.
Last weekend was actually excellent. What did we have happen? They hired Mike Elk. Well, okay, not as excellent as it could have been.
It was excellent for about 3.5 quarters.
Right.
I mean,
fourth quarter happened, not excellent.
Yeah.
And then some of the news that started to trickle out on Saturday night, not excellent. But from Sunday on, it's been nothing but hits. It's been wonder. It's been great.
It's like the Rangers in the World Series.
See, I don't think we needed to go there. I think we could have gone 100 other directions.
Talk about all the hits.
I would have allowed you to go Dak Prescott playing at an extremely...
Dak Prescott played really well last night.
He's good.
Their coach is an idiot, but
I don't like that he's wearing the Cam Newton hat a lot recently. Have you noticed the Zorro hat he's wearing? Is it Zorro?
No.
It's kind of like a...
As long as he's not doing the Cam Newton scarf around his head like old woman
like
does.
Hazel?
And I'm like, whoever told Cam Newton that was a good look?
He knows fashion.
Yeah, well.
Not my fashion. Not my fashion. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, can we do a little pick 6, OB? Do you approve of that?
Sure. I'm going to be like Deron Bland.
All right.
All those pick 6s.
Pick 6, Deron Bland. We'll get into that when we come back here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, a moment for the Association of Former Students. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with other Aggies, then check out the Association of Former Students. The association brings Aggies of all ages together during events held throughout the year. Marquee events like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, and Gathering welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of all those attendees. All events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. Options include title sponsorship naming, on-site presence and activation, recognition and social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with other Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information and options, please call sponsorships at aggienetwork.com. Go ahead.
Hearted woman, loving a good timing man. It's like my marriage. She's a good-hearted woman. I'm a good-hearted woman. I'm a good timing man. I mean, I'm going crazy up until 10, 15.
That's late, bro.
Yeah.
You stay up till 10, 15?
Sometimes, man. Sometimes I'm up till 10, 20.
Wow.
Yeah,
dude, I haven't done that since I don't know. That's fantastic.
I like to burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah, I can tell. We have to leave our house tomorrow, probably 5 a.m. for soccer tournament in the Metroplex.
Yeah.
And I will probably be asleep at 9:34. That's my guess.
9:34.
Around that time.
Well, unfortunately, I am making a trip to San Antonio tomorrow to pay my respects to an old friend and former San Antonio Express News sports writer or sports editor who passed away.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Bert Henry. We worked together in Tyler.
Okay.
Great friend, and passed away. So I will be going to bed even earlier so I can get up early and make that drive to San Antonio.
Hey, let's do a little pick six action. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Hannah, we've got, look, this is a big week because you've got how many people for the, I guess technically Olin, Seth, Steve, and myself, all with a chance to, does Rockwell have a chance?
You're in first place, aren't you?
I am, but that won't last. And I'm not just saying that because good things aren't supposed to happen to me.
I mean, you've been hot. You've been hot of late.
I think the last 3 or 4 weeks I've been hitting. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been like Dak Prescott.
You know, if I were a smart man, and I'm not, and I was also a person who has no ethics, I would wait to see what you say and what Steve McKinney say, and I would just match as much as I can and guarantee a victory.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
All right? I'm going to go early, just like you, right?
Okay.
And let it be what it be.
Okay.
Let it be what it be. And this is probably the last week that counts. I don't think we count the bowl games, do we? I don't think we do. We haven't played in one since I've been here, so. Quién sabe. All right, let's go back to Hannah. Hannah, why don't you give us the first few games?
Yeah,
give me the first game.
Okay. First up, we have number 5 Oregon versus number 3 Washington. Oregon's favored 9.5.
Oregon.
You think they win by double digits?
Yeah, they're playing so well. And I've been watching Washington lately. You know, they were fortunate to beat Washington State. They were fortunate to beat Oregon State. So I just the trajectory of both teams tells me, Oregon may win by a wide margin.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm not going to agree with you on this.
Okay.
I mean, I agree, but I think they can keep it closer than that. All right. So I'm going to take Washington.
I kind of hope so.
Yeah, I'm going to take Washington.
All right, take Washington.
Thank you.
All right, our first
I'm going with the Ducks. Whack, whack, whack. Aflac.
The Oregon Aflacs. Okay, anyways, number 18, Oklahoma State versus number 7, Texas. They have Texas favored 14.5.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take the Longhorns on that one.
I don't want to. I'd love to lose first place because of that.
It's my understanding that Texas is in the top 10 nationally in rushing defense.
Oklahoma State, that's what they do.
And that's what Oklahoma State does. So I
don't know on top of my head. Who have they played that rushes the ball really well?
Well, that's true too.
Bama.
Well, I don't know that Bama rushes the ball that well. They're okay.
Right.
And when they do, it's usually because Milroe's scrambling.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to have to go Texas.
Yeah.
I would love for Oklahoma State not only to keep it close to win,
but
I just don't see it. I think Texas is destined to be in the mix, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think. I think the Longhorns are gonna.
It's a big number, though.
Yeah, it is.
Hannah.
All right. Next up, you have SMU at number 22, Tulane. Tulane's up by 5.5.
You know.
How much Tulane have you watched? One game? Part of the Ole Miss game?
Actually watched none.
Yeah.
But I do know that if I'm on if I'm trying to take, if I'm on the road to a championship, I want to take the road with 2 lanes.
No traffic that way. Less traffic.
Less traffic that way. Tulane.
Yeah, I'm going Tulane too. They win by a touchdown. I think so. Yep. Let's go Tulane. The next one.
Number 2, Michigan versus number 16, Iowa. Michigan's favored by 22.5.
Michigan's over. I mean, Iowa can't score.
Iowa can't score.
Michigan will score enough.
And Michigan's defense is even better than Iowa's.
Yeah.
And so Iowa doesn't score against bad defenses. This could be a shutout.
Like 40-0 kind of feel to it?
27-0.
27-0. So
I'm going to
close.
take Michigan.
I'm taking Michigan as well. This next one, OB, I don't know what I think.
Okay.
Let's go, Hannah.
This next one is number 14 Louisville at number 4 Florida State. Florida State's favored 2.5.
I'm going to take the Seminoles. You know what? I like that Louisville coach, Jeff Brom.
I do too.
He was a good quarterback there.
Yeah,
I saw him come in. I saw him play here at Kyle Field. They got destroyed by the Wrecking Crew.
I would like to see Florida State stay undefeated. I'd like to see it. Those players, like, the fact that they lost Jordan Travis.
Our board is saying that Florida State may be down to their third string quarterback.
Oh. I don't know if I can believe them. But, God, Nuño, what do you do here? Louisville. Going Louisville. I'm giving you a chance to get back in, OB.
There you go. I'm going to take Florida State.
Louisville.
You say it right, too.
Do I?
Yes.
I used to say Louisville.
Right. Having lived in Tennessee where there's so much proximity, it's Louisville. Louisville.
Yeah. It's one word, like one syllable.
Yeah,
No, it's two.
Louisville. Yeah.
I can't stop doing it when you do it.
Louisville.
See, it just doesn't stop.
Louisville.
Hannah.
It's like when you say a word and it just like loses all its meaning. That's what just happened right here.
How about when somebody sings a song that you hate and they sing it around you enough and then you start singing it?
And then you're just sitting there and hate like singing the song.
Hate this song. And I'm singing, or they play it on the car and I hate this Avril Lavigne song.
Yeah. I never actually sing it, but I have had it in my mind, and I'm like, I want a lobotomy.
Yeah. Well, you were a big Avril Lavigne fan, weren't you?
Who? Oh, no, I don't like
Debbie Gibson. I'm sorry, it was Debbie Gibson.
No.
Yes.
I don't like chick music. Unless it was Heart. Heart, I used to like Heart.
The Bengals?
The Bengals had one good song, and it's not that stupid Egyptian song.
Madonna?
I wasn't a big fan.
No? Cyndi Lauper, come on.
No.
You're a total Cyndi Lauper person.
OB, you like
I like Joan Jett. Huh?
Fleetwood Mac.
Well, that wasn't just a...
Oh, yeah, I know. But.
Joan Jett. Cool.
Got it. I know you were a big Sinead O'Connor fan.
No. I don't... What,
Tracy Chapman.
No.
Help me out with others.
I got nothing, Nick.
I don't know how far you're trying to go back.
I thought
David.
Chrissy Hine of the Pretenders, but then she's in a band. Deborah Harry, Blondie, but they're in a band. I'm talking about just the
solo artist.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Taylor Swift, obviously.
That's the worst.
I second the motion, OB.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I guess we should finish the game of Pick 6.
Yeah.
Senora Hannah.
All right, last up, y'all have number 1 Georgia versus number 8 Alabama.
Okay. That can
They're
never
favored by
happen again.
6.5.
I don't even know what you said because somebody let Rev in here, Miss Rev, and barking really loud. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. You said Georgia versus Alabama SEC championship game. All right. I'm gonna take Georgia.
So am I. I don't know if you gathered that I was thinking.
Well,
Georgia.
the bark, yeah. I don't know if bulldogs bark like that.
Yeah, I think bulldogs.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Georgia. So let's play it out. Georgia wins.
Georgia wins. They're in.
Okay. Michigan wins.
They're in.
Okay, that leaves 2.
Okay.
The Florida State game and the Oregon-Washington game are the ones. And I my gut tells me this won't happen, but both of those teams are deserving. Unless it's a blowout. If that could change the way I look at either team.
Again, here's what the way I look at it is, and this would be interesting. Let's say Florida State loses, okay? And let's say, like you predicted, Washington, let's say you're right because you took Louisville, so you're right this week. And then Washington loses a close game to Oregon, a close game. Who gets in? Again, you can say, if you're Texas, you say, we should be in, we beat Alabama. Oh, wait a minute, Alabama's probably only ranked 10th.
Right.
Washington beat Oregon. Oregon will be ranked 3rd or 4th, 3rd probably.
Yep.
Well, they lost, though. Yeah, they lost to the team that's ranked 3rd. And if you're Texas, you say, you lost to Oklahoma. They're like 11. And then you say, yeah, but we we had a tougher schedule. Did you?
Did you?
Because Oregon will have, Washington will have beaten Arizona and Oregon State. You beat Oklahoma State. Where are they going to be ranked? Are you really hanging on Kansas? Alabama can only take you so far.
By the way, people are wondering, Rebecca Black?
No.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah, because the little girl that used to work here that's over at the Lexi. She used to play that stupid Friday song every Friday, and I was like, somebody please just stick somebody stick a spike in my ear, please.
Play Friday. Whitney Houston?
Yeah, Whitney Houston, she could sing.
You liked her?
Yeah, I did like her.
Okay.
Yeah. There's always an exception to the rule.
Right. Somebody sent a text, Bus Driver 88. It's like Nuño has never met OB. I'm saying these as a joke. Obviously, I know that he's a huge Rebecca Black fan. I know that.
You think I offended anybody by saying I don't get into chick music?
Yeah. There's going to be a meeting.
Come on.
HR's waiting. Let's go. Let's hit a break. We'll come back. We've got Around Aggie Land coming up next, and also bank on it. We got to bank on something this weekend. I don't know what to bank on.
I don't either.
I'm banking on OB saying something else controversial in the next segment. A moment right now for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. If you are looking for a vehicle, that's the place to go. If you think you're going to be looking for a vehicle, well, whenever you're ready, start your search online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com, where you can see the vehicles that they have on the lot. They change it all the time. You go there, you'll see what they have, you get a little feel for the price, and then when you're ready to take the next step, you go there. You're going to be met by an awesome sales rep there who's going to take care of you in every way, shape, and form. They give you a great value on your trade-in, right? That's always a plus. Great value on the car that you're buying. Oh, this is going to cost me this? All right. They're going to help you through that. And then, of course, the customer service that they have there throughout the process. We're talking about during the sale, after the sale, the entire way. It's going to be painless and easy. They want to make sure that you leave there very happy. And just so you know, they have complimentary pickup for service customers in the Brazos Valley. So that is a win-win for everybody there. It is not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes. Brian to Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Pretty good song right here. The song jams.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, she got that from Macho Man Randy Savage.
Is that right?
That's part of the lyric. It's because she was a big fan of him. She wrote that into the song.
I don't believe that.
I've read it somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah.
TexAgs Radio. Maybe not. Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in this morning. It is the Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, let's bank on something. Presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com. What are you banking on?
I don't have any inside information on this, so this is all just my own speculation.
Yep.
But I am banking on the Texas A&M Aggies getting an invitation to the Texas Bowl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You just think?
Yeah, probably against somebody like Kansas.
You think it'll be Kansas? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. The people of the South Wind.
Okay. All right.
There'll be dust in the wind.
Look, I'm just going to bank on something NFL related.
What's just that?
The Texans will move to 7-5 on the year, and they'll beat the Denver Broncos, who have the exact same record. The Texans get them at home. I'm banking on the Texans.
I think the Texans will win that game, but the Broncos have been playing.
They've been playing much better
football under Sean Payton.
They have. They have been. They were embarrassed a little bit early on, but they have figured out their ways.
I wish Sean Payton was my coach.
Yeah. And what else? Do the Browns play this weekend? Because I'm sure we can bank on something Myles Garrett does.
Miles may not play.
Oh, that's right.
He's got a bad shoulder.
Yeah, that's right. They get the Rams.
The Rams.
And I'm banking on.
Did you know the Rams originally were located in Cleveland?
I don't know if I knew that.
The Cleveland Rams. So it's I wonder if there's any still hard feelings.
And I'm also banking on 100 likes before the end of the hour. We're at 92. People.
92. We need 8 more.
8 more. Help us.
Like me. Please like me.
Look into this camera right here and do that same thing so we can make a meme out of you and post it.
Like me. Please like me.
Disregard. Let's now do Around Aggie Land, presented by Norman G. State Bank. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking. The website, normanGStateBank.com.
She likes me.
Does she? Happy birthday, girl.
Thank
Kay
you.
Nagley.
I know. I'm officially so old. I can't believe it.
Shut up.
22.
Yeah, I said that this morning, and OB's like, you're not old.
You know what's interesting? Old people get mad at young people, no matter how old or young you think you are.
Yeah.
Saying, I'm old. You don't know what old is, right? Like, you don't, like, I'm not old, right? In your eyes.
No, you're not old.
You're young.
But in Kay's eyes, I'm ancient.
Yeah, but nobody's eyes are you old at 22. Kay's just trying to get.
I feel like this is my first birthday where I don't have like I can't do anything new. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I'm at the point where I'm like, I've reached all the accomplishments I can reach besides like renting a car or something at 25. I don't know. That's just the mindset.
Still the rule?
That's just the mindset.
Yeah,
I think
there's some.
Yeah, I remember that rule. I didn't like it back in the day, but I don't care
25
anymore.
was my favorite birthday because my car insurance went way down, so I felt like I got a huge raise.
I think every birthday is great. They're all awesome.
I'm going to be alone on mine.
Why?
The wife is going out of town to celebrate someone else's birthday. I gave her the absolute go-ahead.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those, sure, honey, and you're hoping in the back of your mind?
It's her godson.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. All right, Kay, what do we have going on in Around Aggie Land?
Yeah, so we do not have any A&M football going on this weekend, but college football bowl games will be announced on Sunday, December 3rd. So be sure to watch out for that, as OB predicted, the prediction for where the Ags will be playing. So we'll see where they're at.
I've seen them anywhere from the Music City Bowl. I've seen that.
I like Nashville. I wish that would happen.
Yeah, I've seen the Texas Bowl.
That's probably going to happen.
And I think I've seen one more. What was the third?
Is it Liberty?
Probably.
Don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that one either. Yeah.
Nothing against Memphis, but I'd rather not go to Memphis.
Even
though we found a good place to eat the last time we were in Memphis.
I'm going to be very honest about this. I've been here. This will be my third football season. I'm waiting for a Florida Bowl. It'd be great, just once.
Texas A&M will never be fully vetted as an SEC team until they beat a Big Ten team in a bowl game.
I like the way you think. Okay.
Yeah, so men's basketball and women's basketball have both played. Men's basketball dropped a 59-47 decision to Virginia in the ACC-SEC Challenge. Yep. On Wednesday, they will now play DePaul back at Reed Arena. That is on December 6th for an 8 p.m. tip-off, a little later than normal. And then women's basketball dominated Wake Forest last night with a 81-57 victory. That is a great win at the ACC-SEC Challenge. Again, the Aggies will return home for a long-awaited home game. Haven't had one since November 20th, and they will play Kansas this Sunday at 1 p.m. at Reed Arena. Joni Taylor is doing some good things with that team. Yes. Got a bunch of transfers, so they're definitely a team to, if you have the chance to check them out, go ahead. And then in year one, unfortunately, Jamie Morrison's Aggies did fall to TU last night in the first round of the NCAA tournament, but Morrison guided the Maroon and White to a 16-13 record in his and the program's first postseason berth since 2019. So a lot of good things, but hopefully the Aggie football team gets a good bowl game that we get to go to. So
thank you, Kate. Pura Vida says, I'm banking on TU, still garbage, and will not make the Final Four. OB, thank you very much. All right, come back with Jace Sternberger next, TexAgs. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate Randy Etheridge. He's a Longhorn fan, but he listens from time to time. Very kind on there. One of my dearest friends is a Longhorn, Raheel Ramzanali. He's a media personality in Houston. Great guy. Like, I like when we can have like friendly back and forth. I don't like when people make it a little personal. It's all good. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it a couple different ways. You can chat on the YouTube page. You can chat on TexAgs.com, or you can text us at 979-693-1150. We are working with, We are working on getting Jace Sternberger on the program, so we'll work on that. But let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, where we find Hannah. Hannah, let's get to some TexAgs texts.
Totally. Okay, to start off, Quentin in College Station says, how close are we from finishing out the staff? Do we have a guesstimate?
Say that again?
How close are we to finishing out the staff? Do we have like an idea?
No. I mean, this is they're going to take some time. Absolutely going to take some time. There's no doubt about that. I think maybe we'll have a little clarity this weekend, but they need to get the right guy in there for every position, right? Right person for each position. So this could take a little bit longer than we probably want because we want everything right now, but I think we'll see it here soon enough.
Perfect. Chris says, hi, Nuño and Olin. Olin just left, but love the show. How would you feel if Elko kept Durkin?
I don't even know how to answer that question because I don't think there's not a right answer in that. If Mike, who I think is going to have, if Mike wanted to keep Durkin, I'd be fine with it. And if Mike decided to move on from Durkin, I'd be fine with it. That's the way I'm going to answer it. It's probably a cop-out, but there's no real good way to answer that. Because I don't know what he's thinking when it comes to the defense. I assume he's going to have a different philosophy because it was different from his first stint here. So I don't see that happening. But, maybe during the time that he's been here, he's talked to DJ, but I just don't see that being a thing.
I gotcha. We have an Arizona number that says, Drew and Brian says, Lou Holtz is one of my favorite quotable coaches, and he's one of the best. He says, winners embrace hard work. They love the discipline of it. They trade off. They're making to win. Losers, on the other hand, see it as a punishment, and that's the difference. Elko kind of echoed that sentiment on Monday. Gig 'em.
Okay, I like it. Let's continue through.
All right. From Jim and Temple, whether or not A&M lands Caleb Douglas from the portal depends on the final make of Elko's coaching staff, which of course ongoing here as we speak.
Look, I know that all of us are looking forward to all these amazing hires. I trust the main man to make the right choices, right? And we're working on getting Coach Elko on the program, hopefully in the next week. Hopefully, that's the game plan. We're trying to get him here next week at some point. But I do trust that it's a new vision, a new walk in a new way. And whatever direction he ends up taking it, I'm totally fine with it. I really am. I really believe that if he picks this dude or that dude, it's because he's got this plan. Because everything that we learned from Ross Bjork when he was here in studio and from the press conference was that there was a vision laid out, not only what the staff could look like, but what the program and the phases that he's going to go. And because of that, you can almost be a little bit more patient with it. And because of that patience, look, I want to know these names, right? I want to know, is it going to be this OC? Is it going to be this guy? Is it the fact that he hasn't hired this guy yet? Does it mean anything down the road? With all that being said, I just feel comfortable the direction that they're going. And because of that, I think we're going to see, we'll see parts of it. I think that the offensive side might be a little bit quicker because of some of the holes they got to fill, right? And you still got some guys out there. We'll see James Coley do his thing and work with the offense. Anything else, Hannah, on the text line?
Yeah, Stephen College Station asks, if Bama pulls out a miracle, does that help to you?
If Bama pulls out a miracle, does that? I wouldn't call it a miracle, by the way. I'm predicting for Alabama to lose that game. I wouldn't think that's a miracle, right? Not a miracle. What I will say to that is it will help Texas. Any loss to one of these four teams helps Texas. And if you look at the pecking order, at least how things stand right now, if Oregon wins, they would probably take the Washington spot, right? If Florida State loses, I think Texas gets in. If Georgia loses, I think Texas gets in. Those are 2-3 areas right there you got to watch out for. I don't see Michigan losing. There's going to be a Big Ten representative. There's going to be more than likely. I don't think we can guarantee. I don't think we can guarantee the SEC is going to get in, but I'm basically guaranteeing it. But I don't think you can guarantee it with as many teams that are out there. But because the SEC is the SEC and because Georgia hasn't lost, I do think if Georgia were to lose, they still get in. And then Bama would be like, but what about us? And unfortunately, Texas will get that spot before them, regardless of a victory. There's going to have to be more Armageddon for Bama to get in than for Texas to get in. That's just the bottom line. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can do it. 979-693-1150. We were supposed to have Jace Sternberger on the program. I have not heard from him. So hopefully we can figure out what the situation is with him.
I want to be a part of the conversation, David.
What do you want to say?
I don't know. Just whatever you want to talk about.
I also want to be part of the conversation real quick and say you do have over 100 likes.
Yeah, we did get 100 likes, and we did not get them Jace Sternberger.
But that's because we haven't passed the subscribers yet. We still are only at 12,000.
He's probably watching that, and he's like, you know what? They haven't hit the mark yet, so I'm not going to join.
Well, I have also learned,
and that's okay,
that sometimes a 9 a.m. phone call is a little difficult for folks.
Do we know where he is, like where he's living now?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah,
I don't know.
That's always a factor.
I don't know. Hannah, what else?
We're looking right now. I think that there's a lot of just conversations going on in the YouTube chats, which is kind of fun. Have you been paying attention to any of them recently?
I did at one point, and then I backed off when the troll showed up.
Well, David, I'm curious, have you given a top 4 prediction? What do you think it's going to be?
I have not.
This coming Sunday?
Put up the graphic with the crazy one if you don't mind, so I can look at it. So let's see.
You wanted this one to take a look at it?
I just want to kind of glance at that, and you could put it in the background here. So I look at that. Look, Georgia's in, Michigan's in, right? I believe I picked Louisville to win, which means.
So you're saying Georgia beats Bama, Michigan. I agree. I think the most obvious one is Michigan destroys Iowa.
Right.
Not even going to spend a second watching that game.
I picked Washington to cover. I think Oregon's going to win. Right.
Okay.
So that puts Oregon in.
Okay.
Gosh, no, I can't say it out loud. And
so you think Texas is in, is what you're getting
if Texas takes care of business and that scenario plays out, I think they're in.
And it's my understanding Texas did not play Oklahoma State this year in the regular season, right?
Correct.
Okay, so interesting.
Yeah. Now look, Oklahoma State. That's one thing that I know a lot of people got upset that Sark did not get Coach of the Year, and Gundy did, and I understand that. I mean, Texas had an incredible year, and that victory at Alabama should not be understated. It was huge, going on the road and winning by double digits. That's how you're supposed to do it, right? Like they did it the right way. All that being said, the one thing that I got to give props to Oklahoma State, and I mean major props to Oklahoma State, is that they suffered a very early embarrassing loss. This program experienced that last year, right? One of these like demoralizing types of losses. And they just went back to work. They found their identity, and they went the right way. They took care of business. You got to give Oklahoma State props, and Mike Gundy major props. People like to bury him, right? People want to say, oh, he's done. He's the old guard. He was a name that some people had floated on the boards. Like, maybe A&M should look at him. And a lot of people are like, nah, I don't want that. Like, that's too. And I understand all that.
And going back, sorry to interrupt here, but going back even further past that South Alabama game, I don't know if you remember last offseason, but they had a bunch of transfers out. Like Oklahoma State was up there on the list of, the internet loves to look at numbers and stuff, but they had, their starting quarterback leave, some good skill position players leave, and they've, even with all that being said, they've battled back into the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, it's been an incredible run. It has been fun to see what they've been able to do. And again, like, guys, it just tells you, like, let's bring this back to Texas A&M. We keep saying we're close. But I think sometimes we just say that because of the talent that is on campus, right? with the right direction, it is literally possible next season to have the kind of success that Texas is having this year, right? The kind of success that we've been envisioning since 2020 to continue with the right direction. That is all very possible. I think you can take a look at, and Oklahoma State didn't have to change their coach to get there, right? They didn't have to do that. But here they are, and figuring out your identity and playing it at the top level, to me, is the most important thing. And I think Mike Elko's got a plan. I think he's going to have players there, and he's going to have a strong staff around him. And these are things that we've been preaching for the last few years when it came to Jimbo and his staff. And but they didn't figure it out. And in fact, they took a step in the wrong direction. New vision, new hope, new dreams. All awesome. I do want to pivot for a moment to Aggie basketball for a second. They aren't playing until the 6th, right, against DePaul. So they get a little bit of a break. And after all those miles that they've had and all that stuff, they are trying to figure out what they are right now. We don't know this Boots' status, and I don't know if we'll find out by Monday or not. We'll try to talk to Buzz Williams about that. But Henry coming back was huge for them. We still don't know about the Julius Marble situation. We don't know. People keep asking, "What do you?" I don't know anything. That information is being held, is being taken care of by the university. But with a little bit of a break and a reset, I think a reset for this team could go a long way. There was a reset last year where they are. By the way, we're acting like they've lost 2 games in a busy 10 days, right? The FAU lost, the Virginia lost, 2 out of 3 games there from the 24th to where we are right now. But figure out your shooting woes, and that's a lot harder said than done, right? Figure out your shooting woes, and I think they win some of these games moving forward. They've got to when I look at that Memphis-Houston game, they've got to split those 2. You split one. I'd love to take them both, obviously, but if you can split that, I think you're looking at yourself through Houston Christian and PV and getting into the new year, and you're feeling very comfortable with just 3 losses entering SEC play. To me, that is the most important part about all of that, right? Like, it is so important. Yes, Hannah?
Last year, whenever they had their little break, they lost 2 games in a row and then went on to win 9 games in a row after having a little bit of a break, as you were talking about. So they obviously can and will do that.
Yeah. Look, we all do this on sports radio where we use 1 year or a year prior as a reason for things to happen, right? We all do it, and it's part of the game. What I do know that the core of this team has been around for a couple of seasons, right? And because of that, because the core has been together, they will figure things out. They'll just go hoop, right? That's one of the things that you know about this team. They're going to get back to work. They're going to get back to their defensive principles, and Wade Taylor's going to be fine. Right? When you take Boots out of the equation and you just, from a guard perspective, you just center on stopping Wade, it's going to make everything harder, right? When and if Boots comes back, and I say if because I just don't know the situation. I assume he'll be back. So let me phrase it like that. Soon. But when you key in on one guy, right, and your whole offense is about movement and his ability to get to the hole, all that, right? All that happens. Boots comes back, gives Wade a little bit more freedom, get back to your defensive principles. I'd like to see a little bit more aggression on 3-point defending, but I know that's...
I wanted to get your opinion on that, David. How do they solidify that perimeter defense? Because you're more an X's and O's guys on basketball than I am. So, it seems like more often than not, teams have a lot of success from the 3-point line against A&M, but what do you think? Is there a reason for that specifically?
I think that's their formula, right? And I'm not going to argue
the opponents to shoot threes.
Yeah, they want low percentage shots, right? That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to go in the paint and live free, right? They want to force some shots. And when you're on, by the way, that's the opposite of what Daryl Morey and the Rockets were doing years ago, and what the Warriors, the Warriors had more movement, but 3-point shooting teams, you get more value for the 3-point shots, even if you're shooting 30 to 40%. So that's an NBA thing, a European basketball thing. But when it comes to the college game, what Buzz is going to do, they're going to be aggressive on the 3-point line, but they're going to give up those shots to make sure that the paint is covered more. They don't want to give the easy shots. So, you adjust to the talent you're playing against. And there's, Virginia was hitting their shots, and Florida Atlantic was hitting their shots. When you're hitting your shots and you're not hitting yours, you're not going to win those games. And that's just the bottom line. All right, when we come back, we should have Billy. I think we'll have Billy, if not in studio, on the phone, and the Flounder will continue. Right now we're talking about Heritage Films, yourheritagefilm.com. They make documentary films about your families. They make documentary films about your aunt, your uncle, your father, your family business, your family ranch. Chance McClain is the best at doing these stories, right? He'll tell your story. He did my dad's story. It was fantastic. Really love what Chance was able to do with my father, who's 93 years old. We got to share that movie together as a family. Wonderful experience, just about being born in 1930 and moving to the States, escaping Cuba, and we did that with my kids. Who the younger Isla, she probably didn't understand it all, but the twins understood. And then when they get a little bit older, it'll be even more impactful. And then they'll be able to share it with their kids, like, hey, this is the Nuño name. This is what we've done. This is what your great grandfather did, right? That is to me the beauty of a heritage film. But there's also the year flicks, which is for the youngers, right? So if I wanted to do one on the twins as they, enter their midway through their sophomore year of high school, what high school life is like, what soccer's like, their other activities, and to their junior year, to their senior year, to where they decide where they're going to go to college and hopefully play some sports. All that can be a part of the year flicks. You should call up Chance, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. Check out yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com. Welcome back in. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Had a former player text me yesterday. I don't know if he wants me sharing the text, but he's like, dude, I hate the transfer portal. And A&M really hasn't been hit that hard by it, right?
It is insane, man.
Like, is there anybody new this morning, Nick, that you're seeing, or are we just basing it?
I haven't seen anybody specific, but I'm just saying in general. It's just the thing is the portal isn't even open yet, and just these names that show up, and I mean it's that's all I can say about it. It's insane, and I can only imagine what it's going to be like when it actually opens, and maybe some of these guys don't publish that they're going in, and their name pops out and it gets out. So it's going to be wild.
Couple things I don't like. I don't like media speculating on who might go in.
That's really annoying.
I understand in certain cases, like why you would think if somebody's related to somebody else and that person's leaving, why you could speculate in that scenario. I wonder if they'll stay or if their best friend leaves, right? Like, I understand, but I still don't think that's the role of the media to like verbalize it out there. Like, these are people that I think could get into the transfer portal. I don't think that is not our job. Like, can we speculate with? I still think you have a responsibility as a member of the media to like speculating people who might get fired. I know it happens, right? I get it. Like, trust me, there was plenty of people that were speculating what Jimbo's staff would look like if he was going to stick around. I get it. Like, there's certain things that I understand come with the job, but when we're talking about, sometimes people speak things into existence without actually seeing what happens, right? The portal. There's a lot of good with the portal, guys, right? Like, for instance, let's talk about the 3 most likely Heisman contenders. Nick, do you remember who do you think the most likely ones? Michael Penix,
Jane Daniels, Michael Penix, Bo Nix.
All examples of what?
Transfer portal.
Those are examples where it works.
Yeah.
Right. Caleb Williams, he won last year, also a portal guy. That one was a little different. I don't know why. Like, in my head, I can justify why certain things work and why certain things don't. It's a case-by-case basis, right? Like Max Johnson leaving LSU for A&M, leaving A&M for North Carolina. That, to me, I get it. It makes sense. Jalen Henderson leaving Fresno State for Texas A&M. It's the SEC. A&M's quarterbacks had gone down the prior years. He might get an opportunity. There's examples of where it works, right? But where I think, unfortunately, where it goes is when you have people in your head like, hey, man, see what you're worth. Why don't you go in the portal to see? Because, again, it's the portal combined with NIL that I have a problem with. Go in there. Let's say you're a good player, not great, right? A good player, and your team needs you to stick around. You go in the portal, and, and this school's going to offer you this, and like now you got it competing with your current school that you really like, but they're going to offer you more money. Like, that's what I don't like about it. I also don't like that discipline in some cases can be put to a side because of the threat of a transfer. So that's why it is so important for Mike Elko and company to get the right guys into the program.
What do you think about like what DJ, I'm going to try to get this, Uwe Ungalele is doing? So he entered Luke's laughing at me. He entered the transfer portal, or at least he says I guess he did, or he's planning on it, but he's also weighing his options when it comes to the NFL draft. So it's almost like free agency, you know what I mean? So what do you think about something like that?
He would be a graduate transfer?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't fault the players for taking advantage of the system, right?
Yeah.
Like that part I don't fault. I don't like the system that's in place. That's more my beef. These grown men who saw what the future was going to look like did not put a plan of action in place. And now, as they say, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tooth, whatever. You know the line. You can't fix it. I mean, can you put some parameters and some guardrails to fix it over the years? Yes, but it is chaos. It's comic. Like when you look at like one state can do this and change their laws, and this state can do that. So I don't fault the players for looking at the opportunities out there and taking advantage of that. I don't like where it is though, which is like why it's so important. Like I'm looking at Hayes Fawcett, who's been tweeting this morning about some people entering the portal. Texas Tech wide receiver Bradley goes into the portal. You also have Chase Biddle going into the portal for TCU. That's all here in the last few minutes. Earlier, was it last night or later last night, Torian Pride Jr. from Clemson going into the portal. By the way, very good cornerback. But like the sheer volume is I wish it is free agency, but it's on a yearly basis. And if there were some way to have like some terms, like all right, when you transfer to this school, no, well, I guess not that way. But when you are a commit, you need to spend 2 years, or when you sign with a school, you need to spend 2 years on campus before, like something to that effect, to where you can at least try to get to know these players a little bit. Like the 22 class, thankfully, there's going to be some guys that leave this year. Thankfully, A&M's gotten 2 seasons out of a bunch of those guys. Hopefully it's 3. Like, hopefully the Mike Elko being here can keep some of those guys. But those days are going away because it behooves the athlete to see what's out there. Like, the transfer portal makes sense when you're at a smaller school and you hadn't really developed yet, and you do develop, and yes, they help develop you, but now if you want to have an NFL future, you've got to go play in the Big Ten or the SEC because that's where the eyeballs are going to be. And yes, you might get noticed at this smaller school. That's examples of the transfer portal where you're moving up in weight class to better your life that I love. When you're just doing it like, you know what? And by the way, if you're unhappy, I'm okay with it. Like, if you're unhappy with your situation, I'm totally okay with it. But if it's just to make an extra buck, that's America. I don't love it. I don't. What'd you just send me, Nick?
Yeah, well, you just mentioned the sheer volume of the transfer portal, you know, how many players it is. And I remember that sparked the memory that I got this ESPN notification yesterday, and it's a story they put out, and it FBS roster construction grew to 20% transfer players in 2023, and that's up from 6.4 from the 2019 season. So just a couple years ago, very small percentage of transfer players on college rosters, but now it's nearly a quarter of it. So it's just how you have to build a team now.
Yeah, and I will say this. I expect for Coach Elko to be more active than Jimbo was. One of the things about Jimbo was he did a little bit more last year, right? I mean, they added Josh DeBerry, which was I expected more from the guys that they brought in, but Josh DeBerry, you know, Ja'Day Walker was a very nice addition to the team, but I felt like Jimbo was a little slower into accepting the portal and doing things in the portal. Obviously, better than Dabo. Like, Dabo's been against the portal completely. Like, he's not adding people. I think you have to adapt to the changes in college football. I think Mike took advantage of it. I'm first name basis with Coach Elko, took advantage of it at Duke. Like, he absolutely did take advantage of it. So, all right, we'll do this. We will hit a break here. I think we'll have Billy in the next segment. So I don't have to ramble for another segment here. So hopefully we'll have Billy here, and we'll get into some the meats and the potatoes, if you will, on the program. But if you want to still be a part of he is here. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can text us 979-693-1150. Milliken Reserve Farm to Table Community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces, and a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're committed to treading lightly on the land. Milliken Reserve is creating a sanctuary for family, for nature, and for community, and they're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community. Respect for that native landscape and wildlife, 2,600 acres of open space, farms, and trails. They got 30 miles of trails and homes. They connect families to nature and to each other. They have an extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths, creeks and ponds, and gathering areas, and a place for families to cherish for generation after generation. If you have not been by there recently, you're going to love it. You can go there just to enjoy the nature, right? You can go enjoy nature. But when you get out there, like, you can go for great walks, you can go on the hiking, you can go to the equestrian paths. They got it all out there. They've got evening yoga, they got summer camps, they got music festivals, farmer markets and farm tours. They got hiking, they got it all. Canoeing. It's a fun place. We got our veggies there many, many times. We've gotten them many, many times. They got great neighborhoods there as well, the creek, the hollow, the meadows. Go check them out on the website, millikenreserve.com. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci in studio. Hi,
David
buddy.
Nuño.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you, buddy?
I'm good.
What's happening? We got the McKinneys rolling in here in a bit.
Yeah.
They'll probably be in here in about 5 minutes. They like to hover in the lobby.
Yeah, well, because Bronny will stop him. That's usually what happens.
He's upstairs right now. He's actually working.
He is.
Uh-huh.
I actually got a desk upstairs now. Finally got a desk.
Yeah, I'm glad we decided to build desks. I mean,
I got one.
What's money?
Well, I mean,
if it was me, this would be like Sparta down here. Like, stand up. Everything. I mean, I don't. What are we doing that requires desks around here?
A show. You can put your laptop on
back there. Yeah.
Oh.
But what do? You type a lot?
I'm a typer.
A lot of writing?
There's a lot of writing going on.
This is your desk.
But I shouldn't eat.
So, yeah, why not? Show's over when nobody's in studio.
But there's always somebody in here.
Sparta.
300?
You wouldn't survive.
How do you know that?
I don't think your feet have ever touched wooded ground.
Absolutely they have. Absolutely. I ground every morning. I go out on the earth and I be a part of it.
No, you don't.
Okay, every once in a while I do.
I don't know that I do either, so I don't know what I'm talking.
Hey, so I floundered for a segment talking about the portal. 30 minutes of floundering. Oh, God, punched me in the face.
I was wondering why Dalton sent me a GIF of that fish on the wall that does that.
Well, because
that's my fault.
Sternberger didn't wake up on time, I guess. And,
really?
And then you were here. And you're like,
come on, Jace.
I'm sure he'll make it up.
Jace is getting real active on social media.
He's great.
Yeah, he's good.
He is good.
He ain't scared to battle.
So we floundered on the portal, and which was
what about it?
Well, the things that I don't like about it, but what I do like about it. But what I wanted to take.
Tell you what I hate about it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead first. And I
No
heard Olin going on about E-Rob this morning. Kind of just he went kind of half cocked into that one, which I was a little like, well, you want to really kind of know what's going on there before you start rattling on and on.
Right.
We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to start with let's talk about the portal. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, what kind of players, and I'm not saying like good citizens, church boys. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what kind of players do you think Mike Elko will be interested in adding? Are we talking secondary? Are we talking offensive line?
I mean positionally.
Yeah. Or what kind of players?
I think, what are we going to do? Sit here and say this coach likes good, high character kids?
They all do.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course. And I think Mike Elko is going to run a high character program.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the vibe I'd always got from him when he was here. And then he's, around A&M, he's been at places like Notre Dame, Duke, Wake Forest. I mean, I think
Hofstra.
I don't know much about Hofstra other than it's in my neck of the woods up there in New York. But, I've always kind of felt that way with Mike Elko. But every coach, that's their plan to come in and do that. But I'm talking about specifically position-wise. I think you're going to see Elko attack the portal much more aggressively than what we've seen these last couple of years. And I don't think it's only because he's a new coach. I mean, new coaches, there's some level of that regardless. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some unwanted attrition. You're going to have some desired attrition. It does not matter. It does not matter if it was Elko, if it's Mark Stoops, if it was Jed Fish, if it was, any of these names you saw flying around, Trailer. It doesn't matter. You're going to have some attrition. It doesn't matter if you keep E-Rob, if you go, like Elijah Robinson recruited a ton of guys and the D-line loves him, but there's a lot of other positions that aren't going to base their stay or go decision on him. There is some overlap because he is that popular, but for the most part, a receiver, a corner, a quarterback, running back, they're not basing stay or go on Elijah. They're basing on what they see the direction of under Elko and his staff.
Right.
But there's always going to be attrition with that. But on top of that, I think Mike Elko will year in and year out use the portal as a recruiting tool, as a weapon to replenish the roster year in and year out. And I don't mean a lot of guys we talked about last year, even when they added them, we were saying that's depth. They need that. They need depth here. They need depth at line. They need, I don't think that's going to be the approach this time. And I know they didn't try to do that with Grimes and DeBerry at corner, but I think you're going to see Elko go out and try to get the best player in the country at whatever position they can get him at. If it can upgrade their roster at said position. Obviously, though, there's going to be a pecking order. And to me, that pecking order right now, sitting at the top of it, is cornerback.
Yep.
That's a very specific position of corner. It's going to be a real serious it's going to be a very serious agenda item for Mike Elko, and it already is for Elko sitting up there. So I know that one will be sitting at the very, very top. I think receiver could be a position where you see them needing to attack the portal, because imagine if you didn't bring back Evan or Moose or both, and if Anias doesn't come back for a sixth year, and recruiting wise, if Cam Coleman goes to Auburn, where Damian Craig's going to be trying to pilfer him, that's kind of why A&M got him committed, and Damian's still trying to mess up. Allegedly, there is a coach out there, I won't say who it is, trying to mess with the Texas A&M current roster. Okay, so I would say if you're at A&M, use all the ammo at your disposal to thwart those things. And that's for any school and any coach, especially anyone that ever worked here.
Sure.
But that's what you're going to be dealing with in the portal. And at receiver, I just think there's a world where that position is going to be one that, hey, we need to go portal heavy here, along with really replenishing this recruiting class. Adding Draylon Miller back would be massive. Getting back in on the Micah Hudson sweepstakes would be massive. I think there's kind of some perk up there because, with the change from Jimbo and just kind of starting anew. But to really have a chance to reel them in, it's going to depend on who your receivers coach hire is.
So I went through the roster, and I think I'm pretty factual on this, of guys that cannot return, okay? I don't think Layden Robinson can return. Am I right about that?
Dude,
you don't know.
I would rather not sit here through this thing with COVID season
that's
and red shirts and things like that.
But there are players.
I can tell you who red shirted this year, but then who wants to use a COVID year? Who can?
Right.
Who can't? You literally can go up to 7 years in some instances now.
But there are going to be a group of guys that aren't going in the portal that are moving on, either to the NFL.
Yeah. I think that list will probably include, in my opinion, I think it will include and there will one of these people will stay, okay, right? But realistic, whether it's graduation, NFL, or eligibility expired, you're looking at Max Wright, you're looking at Layden, you're looking at nobody in the backfield, nobody else at tight end, nobody at quarterback. At receiver, you're looking at Anias potentially. Moose can certainly come back. That's about it at receiver. And if I'm forgetting somebody that just has never played, then correct me in your head, but I'll keep going. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if McKinley Jackson could come back for one more because of the COVID thing, but I don't expect he will. He'll be a decently high draft pick. Edgerrin Cooper could return. I don't expect him to. He was a senior this year or whatever. I don't know what the COVID thing does to it, but Edgerrin I expect to go to the NFL. That's another position, third position if I'm listening to top three, where you'd really expect to see them go portal heavy there. And Damani Richardson, who just finished his 5th year as a starter. That's generally it. I think Tyreek Chappelle and Shamar Turner are two that I would really watch the most in terms of going to the NFL when they still have normal eligibility left here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always had a vibe that Chappelle, I'm less optimistic of them holding on to Chappelle, and I think Turner just being more of a Dallas, more of a local guy. There's more people that could, say, hey, look, if he's not going to go first or second round, he'll probably stay and get a really nice NIL deal. I'm sure Chappelle would as well if he wanted to. If I'm rating likelihood, I'd go Turner more likely than Chappelle to come back. It's just me speculating. But those would be significant, obviously significant returns.
People are asking, and I know you don't have a timeline.
Yeah.
But I would assume.
Wait. You're going to ask coaching?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk portal one more time.
Okay.
I'm going to say something that's going on all over college football right now in the portal.
Go ahead.
Every school in college football going to lose players that they don't expect to lose, whether they don't want to lose or they don't need to lose. Sometimes fans are going to overreact and not realize that it was actually the program that said we're going to be better off without this distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That goes for everyone. That goes for Alabama, who's number 1 right now. That goes for Michigan. That goes for Georgia. That goes for Ohio State, Bama, everyone. Florida, A&M, Kentucky, Texas, OU, Oregon. Everybody's going to lose guys that the fans don't want to lose. And then some of those guys, the coaching staffs at those respective places are going to go. Some of those guys, the coaching staffs are going to go, damn.
Right.
That guy was going to be good. We needed to hold on to him. But here's what's happening now, and this is the part of the portal and NIL, matrix that I don't think these people factored in, and these when these brainiacs that decided this was a good idea to just fly in there without any kind of planning or preparation didn't think about. Across college football, and I've had people from all over tell me this now. You've got players, like key players, prominent players everywhere, basically almost through their agents or, you got people from like small town Texas schools with agents in New York City and Miami that aren't even playing yet in college football, that are just demanding more and more and more, and they're threatening if they don't get it, they'll transfer. So these coaching staffs have to figure out what's worth it and what's not, and what's debilitating and what's not. And I'm speaking not just for A&M. I'm speaking for everyone. And any coach in college football can tell you this. Any coach. Jimbo could tell you this. Dana Holgerson could tell you. The guys that just got let go. Guys coming in new can tell you this. Mike Elko could tell you. Anywhere across college football, they can tell you this now. Jeff Lebby will tell them at Mississippi State. You've got, as this portal, the portal date opening approaches, what's happening, and this is not what the system was meant to be, but you had a bunch of jackasses put it together and just let it happen with no control, no guardrails, no real thought at all going into it. And they failed us at the state level. They failed us at the NCAA level, obviously. But what you've got now are you've got a lot of kids, agents, even families in some instances, demanding, forget that they're demanding exorbitant amounts of money. If you're doing that, then it's up to the school to say, hey, David, we'll give you this much, but if you want that much, you got to go find it somewhere else, and good luck to you. And a lot of these kids are not going to find it, and they're going to go transfer it with very high expectations that aren't going to be met, and they're going to wish they'd stayed. They're going to wish they'd stayed in starting positions where they were. They were going to wish they'd stayed where they were happy, whatever it may be. But what's happening right now, and I've gotten a ton of calls about this nationally, our kids are basically saying they need a bonus now, like add to their deals like in the next week, or they're going to go in the portal. And they want like a lump sum from their programs now, or they go in the portal. What's going to happen is a bunch of these schools that blink and give into that to keep David Nuño on the roster, you're still going to go in the portal.
Right.
So this is where it's just like school to school. It's like who are the smart ones and who aren't, and it's like playing liar's poker here.
Yeah.
Like it's a see who's bluffing and who's not. A lot of these young players are going to transfer, and they're going to wish they hadn't, whether it be unkept promises in terms of money, or whether it be playing time or quality of enjoyment of life situations. So I think Elko said it when he was at Duke a week or two ago. You know, Lane Kiffin's always talked about it. Who was it? Matt Rule this week talked about it. It's not at all what was designed, like what they thought when this concept of name, image, and likeness came out. And it's gotten so far away from that, and I don't think there's any way to bring it back. And I think schools like, you know, A&M, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, I mean, there's more. USC, Notre Dame. I don't know what Notre Dame does in that space. They're in a unique spot. But it's just like, to the donors and alumni, you know, how bad do you really want to win?
Right.
Like up at Oregon, Phil Knight. Like, how bad do you really want to win? Because you got to – this is like this weird period of time where wherever you think you're at, you got to step up and elevate because somebody's better. So every player on your roster – let's say that walks in and demands X amount, make up a number. Just make one up. $500,000.
$500,000, sure.
Every player that walks in. So they're going to try to get it on the open market. And there's every school I just mentioned that are big spenders, right? They don't have to get it from all of them. They need to get it from one school. And you lose that player. And that other player needs to do that. And they don't need to get it from all of them. They need to get it from one. And this is not A&M specific. Let me remind you here, because A&M will have to figure out how to do the exact same thing. They've got to be one of those ones that says, oh, you know, nation's best cornerback. Like, okay, we're going to try to pluck him from this school. You know, you have to play that game. It's just a weird, awkward, kind of almost no rules game everyone's playing right now.
And what I worry about is, and this happens to adults all the time, when you think you want a new job, you think it's hard to kind of come back once you've kind of gone down that path.
Yep.
We'll have a very short segment coming back. Right now we're talking Costa Vida. Starting Sunday, Costa Vida is going to have a concession stand for Texas A&M men's and women's basketball games just to the right inside of the main entrance, directly across from section 113, 112, 213, and 212. The menu is going to consist of chili lime chicken burritos and quesadillas, sweet pork burritos and quesadillas, chips, and queso. So good. Costa Vida has great options for catering for your holiday party as well. So make sure if you're going to the women's game this weekend or you start going to the men's game next week against DePaul, you stop by and get yourself some Costa Vida. Again, chili lime chicken burritos, quesadillas, sweet pork burritos, quesadillas, chips, and queso. Also, if you're in South College Station or anywhere in the Brazos Valley, stop by the main location there at 4501 Mills Park Circle. Great food, great service, amazing atmosphere, fresh Mex done the right way. Go say hi to Holly. She's a great Aggie. Aggie owned and operated. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. It's Costa Vida. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We have maybe a minute. Can I just give props for a moment for Alex Caruso? How about that shot?
Oh, wow, that was
Wasn't that
awesome.
nice?
Heck yeah.
I think we have
Caruso.
the video. There it is. Look at that.
What a shot, dude.
And the way his teammates came up to him, it was cool. It was
really
cool
love
seeing
him in Chicago. They loved him in L.A. They love him at A&M. He's just genuine. I mean, that's why. I mean, so many people, like, when guys, it's different with Caruso because I've known him and the family for so long.
Yep.
A lot of people in this community and at Texas, countless people in the community and A&M have. You know why they act like that because you know him.
Right.
And just because he's really good at basketball and has gotten better and better and better, nothing about him has changed. So I love seeing success for guys like him and Chris Middleton. And I don't know many things make me happier than that when I'm watching pro sports.
All right, we'll be back. Final countdown. And we're back. What was that?
Dramatic pause.
It was.
I was waiting. We were all quiet.
Well, until we show up on there, we're not on.
Okay.
So I saw the looking. Welcome back into TexAgs Radio.
All right.
Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Rollo Insurance Studio.
You guys are trying to hit all the
you like that
colors here, huh, for the holidays?
You try to break that down.
Want to hit keep everyone happy. I like it.
Have you had TexAgs coffee yet, Steve? You should try it.
I have not. Is it good?
Seen it.
Yeah, it's good.
If y'all make K-Cups, I'll try that. I'm more of a K-Cup guy.
I don't think
you don't like a freshly brewed cup of coffee. You just take a K-Cup
way
over
too
that?
lazy to do all that work.
Way too busy.
This guy.
How are you folks? You good?
We're great, man.
Yeah. Great.
Now that we got all this coaching search figured out.
Better.
So
Seth, no tweets or anything?
No. Only positive tweets about the future.
I want to know, did I have
outlook.
you tweeting about your opinions on Stoops and then
No, I didn't tweet
a
any
few hours
opinion
later
on-
coming back
no,
with
not at
the
all.
Elko one?
But you should have seen the background text going.
There was a lot of negative text
a lot of
about
angst
Stoops.
about that.
Rightly so. Okay, and so.
Oh, but no, don't let him fool you, dude. He was
I was
completely
trying.
gone.
I was trying to.
Oh,
I was trying to talk myself.
30 minutes into it, he was already trying to talk himself into it. I'm like, Seth, no.
It's like the opposite.
This is not good.
It's the reverse of the
I was
statement.
asking. I was being like dead serious. I was like, look, I am an optimistic person.
You're like, what am I missing
I am
here?
not a negative. I'm not the negative guy. Give me. Anyways, luckily, I don't have to go down that road, and we got the guy that we needed at A&M, and so I'm excited about it.
All I needed to know about the hire was that I got a call the other day from one of our good friends that may or may not be a high school football coach. One of the more negative friends we've got over a span of 25 years. And what sucks about it is he ends up always being right because, if you've just had a negative outlook on A&M football for 25 years, you're more right than the opposite. But he calls and he goes, "I'm back in, baby."
Nice.
I mean, I think part of it has to do. I think he's always loved the way Elko's recruited,
right?
And also always loved where he loves the idea of a defensive head coach again.
Yeah.
And he and a lot of other coaches texted me after that press conference around the state, saying how good it made him feel and how far it went with the Texas high school coaches. Not just everybody gets up there and says a line.
Right.
If you become the head coach at Texas or A&M or U of H or TC and you don't say a line, then you're just an idiot, and that tells me from the get-go you don't understand the landscape of the job you just took.
Yep.
Anybody does that. Everybody knows that, whether I think of it or you tell me. So everybody, but that wasn't rehearsed or practiced. That was just from the heart. And he has prior proof in that pudding. Coaches have seen him. They know. So it just here's my thing about Texas high schools. You have to recruit this state as your base and foundation. These guys also understand that in Texas A&M, Texas, these schools in the state of Texas and the SEC now, you have to go national.
Yeah.
You have to. Bama's not sticking local. Georgia's not sticking local. No one's recruiting just one state.
Right.
They're all coming into Texas. These coaches are sending guys to all these schools. They can't expect you to only take Texas kids when they're letting their kids go elsewhere. And they don't control what the kids do. But you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
They get that. But make this a welcoming place for them.
Right.
Make them feel at home. Make them feel wanted.
Make it a place where they can learn.
And be real, back and forth too.
Right.
I mean, there is stuff to be learned from these high school coaches, especially in this state. So as long as you have that kind of relationship, you're golden.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard to do. It's not that hard to go to a conference and spend 2 hours. Like, knock that out.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's 2 hours of this day. Just like part of your job. Go do it. It's not that hard.
Well, and I think the next part of that is hire a really strong high school relations guy.
And that's
put a
something
lot of thought into that.
We had one.
We've had two.
We've had a couple, but we haven't had one.
And they're great dudes, but they were on the tail end. They both retired after this job. So to me, hire a young up and comer. Go hire someone from, like, I'm making up a name here, but like go hire a Jason Glenn. Or, he's not even coaching. You could even hire a sitting Texas high school head coach if you really, so.
But you do have to have those relationships. The coaches have to feel welcomed. you need to have that rapport with the coaches, because we didn't have that. Even when we had the whatever the position was, it wasn't really that effective.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, the high school coaches did not feel welcomed to just come to practices.
Who was the old coach at Judson? D.W. Rutledge. Okay. And I think when Jimbo got here, they were literally like, you need to talk to D.W. Rutledge. And I get it, but I mean, there's like guys all over the state that are active and very prominent right now.
Right.
That, so Nuño,
yes, sir.
You want me to do your job real quick
you
type? Seth, Steve, tell us your initial thoughts on the hire. We haven't talked to you yet.
Well, I'll go first. I thought that, originally when I saw the Stoops thing, I was kind of like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand, if that was real or, why that would be a good fit here. And I don't think I ever really went pie in the sky too much. I didn't.
You weren't thinking the Lanning the days of the world. Yeah.
And I didn't even think those would be great fits. I mean, yeah, Lanning's a good coach, but I don't know. It just felt like A&M needed something different than that. We've already done the splashy hire. That didn't work for us. It's not like the whole time I thought that Elko had to be the guy. I knew he was always one of the names.
Yeah. There was rumors out there that he wasn't, and I just laughed because I'm like, dude, if anything, he's stopping this thing's going up. The more they talk to him and get to know his plan.
I just didn't know. I didn't know enough about Elko, honestly, because he never was allowed to talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd never really heard him speak a whole lot to where I remembered him or he had an impact on me.
Yeah.
So when I saw, once the hire came through, the things that really jumped out at me that I bought in immediately, all his former players came out loving the hire.
Yeah.
And I said it to several people. Your former players don't come out like that if they don't like you. If they don't really have to. They don't have to. They don't say negative stuff. They just don't say anything. But they came out in full support. The players loved it. And then I heard his press conference. And then I've seen him do a couple interviews. And I'm like, this guy gets it. And he's a perfect fit. And he's exactly what we need at this moment. And, we've talked, and I've heard how he is behind the scenes, organized and, disciplinarian type. Strength and conditioning will actually be a lot better, I believe.
Yeah,
and there'll be a lot more accountability in the weight room and on the practice field.
My favorite part of his little interview circuit was when he was talking to McAfee and his trophy case was empty. He's like, I don't care about decorating. I'll do that next year. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I thought that was pretty cool. And it's telling of what he's got going on over there. And listening to you, Billy, and then everybody else that has any insight on him, he's got a plan of action on what he's doing. And that's the thing that excites me the most is that in today's age in football, you have, and I've said it previously, I was like, it's like when Jimbo wasn't doing it, NCAA football right now, I think, is harder than the NFL, getting the players right and ranking them and all of that stuff. There's so much that you have to do in college football that it's ridiculous. Yeah. And if you don't have a plan like I think Elko is implementing over there, then you're not going to succeed at it. And so I'm excited that he's actually going to put things in place and actually talk to NIL donors that we need. Like no matter what anybody says or hates or whatever, NIL is what it's going to make this program go.
Yeah.
It just really is. Besides all the stuff that Elko does, coaches, X and O's, NIL is going to make this program go, love it or hate it. Kids are going to go to the money. That's where the talent is going to be. And we're just going to go from there. So.
But you know what, like we've all talked about it, we all know we're going to have to pay players. What we got to do is we got to put people in place, personnel departments in place so that we're paying the right players.
Exactly.
Because there's plenty of talent out there. And you can go pay the wrong players and you see how they act in the locker room. You see what they do at practice. You need to make sure that you're getting the right guys money so that culture, and you hear him talk about, Elko talk about culture. You have
to have that.
Like, he gets that. He understands that winning championships happens because of culture. What did he say? He said something about talent plus culture is how you get championships. So he gets it. And I like the plan that he's bringing in.
You say that you're optimistic by nature, but there's levels to that, right? Like, so Stoops, you were trying to find a reason to be optimistic. Why optimistic with Elko? Is it the plan?
Yeah, the plan, and I've seen what he's done, and what he's done at here, meaning that the X's and O's, like, check that box, and I'm not trying to compare this, that, and the other against Stoops, but he checks the X's and O's box. He, like, legitimately was a great defensive coordinator. He goes to Duke, which, let's just be real, turning Duke around, and I don't care who's at quarterback, turning them around to win the number of games that he's done in 2 years is incredible. And so, yeah,
by
he's
the way,
proven
even their losses have been incredibly high percentage of very close losses. And again, it's Duke.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that was the end of it. Is like he's won that number of games. There was some, like, your posters are crazy on TexAgs, but there was one post that really caught my attention. It was like the coaches, great coaches, and where they came from.
Yeah.
And you had Saban, his record at Michigan State, which was above, like, it was around what Elko was. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't anything spectacular, but it was around that, and everybody was around, a little bit above 500, maybe 600, something like that. And then I didn't have any idea about Elko's record at the time, but then I saw he was like 16-8 at the time, and I'm like, dude, that's like, yeah, that gives me hope right there that he has a record that's just as good as any of these greats of all time or whatever. And I'm not going, I'm not putting that pressure on him, but he's got that ability. He's got.
Like
Let's do it.
Let's do it, Seth. Let's pressure him.
It's a high pressure job.
And guys, I have optimism that he's going to get the right staff in place. Like he developed, or he had a very good staff at Duke if he brings some of those guys over. But I do think the amount of money that they can put into those positions, and I know you said it's more than just coaches, but the football operation, and him handpicking something different than we've had here, I think will go a long way.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Ross and the athletic department are cutting the total amount spent.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not, and that's fine. I mean, because you're having to pay off that. You had to do something to be able to fire Jimbo Fisher. You had to. So.
But now you don't need two super high paid coordinators.
You can or you can't. You can do it because you're cutting, but that's their whole football support staff. So people around the country saw that as it's 11 million.
Well, Ross explained on this show part of the thinking behind it. Like, it's not that it's necessary. It is less, but there's going to be a plan behind the less. It's not just throwing money every year at different things. It's just going to have, all right, this is where this is going to go with an actual plan as opposed to creating stuff all the time.
Well, I don't know how
things like raises will be thought of more and maybe sometimes turned down.
Well, I don't know how they built their plan, but I can tell you how I would have built the plan. I would have looked at exactly what I need to go win a national championship, and then I would have backed it out from there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just throw a number and say, hey, make it work in that number. You say, this is what we need, and then let's figure out how much that costs, and that's your budget.
Yeah.
I mean, I would look at what other programs that are winning championships are paying.
No doubt.
I mean, if we want to be that caliber, that's what we've got to be. I don't care what else you cut in the department. You got to be at that caliber for football.
If you hire a new coach, you've got to do that in his salary. You got to do it in not necessarily in his salary because he's coming up from somewhere. You got to do what it takes to hire him. But you got to do it in terms of what you're going to offer him to be able to spend in assistance. If I'm saying beat him, and him, but I'm going to start you off by giving you less, how does that work?
Mm-hmm.
A&M, fortunately, does not have to do that. So I'm going to give you what he's got, and we're going to try to do that in terms of facilities, check. Do that in terms of assistant coaches, who you can hire, check. How you build out your staff, check. And then comes NIL. And when you hire a coach, you can't check that box. You can say, hey, we're one of these, we're one of the halves. But when the coach gets here, he has to find out how have is A&M really.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you mentioned it, Seth. I think Elko will be very involved with in terms of, hey, if we've got a big donor that might be willing to commit to NIL, will the head coach sit down and have some FaceTime with them? Those kind of things are very important. And I think with Elko, the answer will always be yes, because I think he fully understands the importance in 2023 of NIL and the portal.
Well, that's great. Well, that's the best thing you can say.
NIL, the portal, and let's just call it roster development and retention, roster management. And those are things that I felt very confident in ahead of time. And I'm going to tell you that I think people, and I'm not going to talk about Stoops anymore. My list when this whole thing started, if I had 3 coaches on it, it probably, like when I'm thinking of like attainable 3 coaches. So in other words, like Dan Campbell was not on it.
Yeah.
We know Dan. We know he wasn't leaving Detroit with what they've got going right now. Attainable on my list, if you said give me 3 names, I genuinely, all BS aside, would have had Dan Lanning, Mike Elko, and Kalen DeBoer at Washington. That would have been my 3. Then I found out not only did Lanning have a $20 million buy, but he had the Nike. Then fine. But those were my 3 when the thing started. Mike Elko would absolutely have been on there knowing what I knew about him. So my problem with Stoops, and Stoops might have been in like a top 6 or 7. When you're talking about attainable, like he's not way off of there. It didn't feel like a great, wonderful fit just from he's been doing it for quite a while. He's been at one point. My only like true concern with that deal was mediocre pedestrian offenses have been a big part of his problem throughout the time at Kentucky.
Oh my gosh.
And
that was all it was.
And that
was
like
it.
That's the last thing anyone wants. And you look at DeBoer and Lanning and what I'm thinking about there, and then you go look at like what Mike Elko did at Duke this year with Riley Leonard and a team that probably full of 3-star recruits.
Right.
They had I don't know if you watched them or not. They had an exciting 2023 college offense.
They did. Like they moved the ball. Yeah, it was.
It wasn't too wide open.
No.
There was like you could tell it's a defensive coach coaching it. It's not like as fast as humanly possible and tax the it was exactly what we want to see here.
Well, I'll just add that and I'm not going to talk about Stoops anymore either because they beat that horse completely dead. But
is that you say that because it's Lexington?
no pun intended.
But expensive horse.
But you can't you can't go to a press conference, right, and say that you're going 55 in the fast lane, and then go hire a guy that's been driving 55 his whole life.
That's a good point.
I mean, give me a break.
That's funny.
Elko embraces modern offense.
My only question was like, why? And I couldn't find an answer.
All right, Seth, you're beating a dead horse now.
Here we go.
Last thing
You're
about
beating a dead horse by saying beating a dead horse.
Last part about the staff. It feels to me, and you have way more insight, that this is not a dragged out process. I think in years past, we saw certain positions take a lot longer than expected to be hired.
Yeah.
And I feel like this it'll take the time it needs to take, but it's not going to be dragged out.
I think a lot of coaches in 2023 have things in their contract, like we're leaving before signing day, are heavily penalized.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a couple weeks from now. Like, I think a lot of the times that factors in, and I don't think people have started to catch on to that yet. Like, hey, if it's before signing day, you're paying their entire you're buying out their whole contract remaining.
Wow.
If it's after signing day, I'm making up a number. You're paying half or whatever, quarter, or however it works. But that's how a lot of this is structured now. It's not like the head coach can get up there and just start saying that. But he's got a lot going, I'm sure. I do think you'll start seeing coaches get here, obviously prior to that. I think you're going to see a nice mix of some Duke assistants. I think you're going to see him go out and shop anew. There's going to be a lot of new additions that weren't on his Duke staff. I don't think you're going to see very much holdover from Bright.
Really?
And I mean on his staff. I mean on the extended
Everything.
staff. I'm not saying any one person can probably stay, other than obviously Adazio, Petrino, and Damian Craig. But I don't expect that to be the case. I think the primary one is Elijah. BGA played for him, and then, was with him here. So I think those are guys. I think Tony Jarrett-Eddy on the support staff side, on the GA side, has been pretty important. So, I mean, it's like when I'm thinking in my head, it's a short list. And in terms of Elijah, people have been asking about, there was a thread on the board, and then Olin lobby lizarded it up yesterday and brought it to the show. But I think Syracuse will be a player in that. I think he'll have a decision really quickly. Syracuse is a unique opportunity for him because
you think you get a head coaching job?
No, as a DC.
In DC.
And a DC with his lifelong friend. They're from the same hometown. In
who's this?
Georgia's defensive backs coach.
Is he took the head coach?
Okay. So he has that offer. He has an offer to stay here. And I will say this. It's my understanding that the offer here is I mean, whatever a max offer is for a position coach in college football, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Not to go into details, but they've put a real, like, not many D coordinator jobs, even in Power 5, probably would pay what he would make to stay here. So it's not about that. And so it's about, figuring out. I think Elijah's in a very interesting spot, guys, because, like, the friend element makes it, I think, different. But do you go DC at a place like Syracuse?
No,
I would not at all. I think that's a setback.
That seems like career suicide.
Well,
I'm with you.
Like if he went to like a South Carolina type school, that's different.
Yeah.
I agree completely. I think it's a bad business decision.
He's 2 years away as a good DC here from getting a nice head coaching job.
My question I wanted to ask is different. Like, because I'm not saying that for sure they won't change the mind and he's a DC. I don't know that. I don't suspect that. But I'm talking about making the jump from D-line coach to head coach without having the DC stop.
I absolutely.
Dan Campbell did that.
I was just about to say.
His friend that's going to Syracuse did that. Like, I just think he's gotten so much buzz right now because of the job he's done here and the on-the-job training and showing kind of the world, damn, this dude has what it takes to be a head coach.
You make a great point there, and I think that you can easily skip, just like the guy at Georgia did.
Yeah.
But going for like,
and I haven't looked at his background. Maybe he was a DC somewhere prior.
Right. I don't know. Either.
People do it.
But you can do that for sure. Coordinator, man, you like. I think that is something that takes a little bit of time and knowing what's going on in the defensive backfield,
on the job learning,
things of that nature. And I think you can make the skip from a position coach to a head coach by being the kind of guy that he is. He's the glue guy, right?
Yeah.
He can recruit. Those are like essentials for a head
saw
coach.
How great he
you
was
don't
with
have
the media.
to be a complete X's and O's guy to be the head coach. You
Let
don't
me
have to
tell
know
you.
everything about it, everything. You
I'll
just
tell
got to be you got to just look at Dan.
You got to have good leadership.
Have the team buy in, be able to talk to the media, be able to talk to people that are in control of NIL and show them that you know what you're doing and you have a plan.
And those people that you're talking about, we see the videos of the players and stuff, but I'm telling you, like, the way he was, a lot of donors and people that really matter around here that opened their eyes and they were like, damn, like, so, and it just the way he has been with it, like he's a head coach.
He is. I agree.
It's just a matter of time. So that'll be interesting. Anyway,
I wonder how close he was to getting this job. At what point?
I bet he was in the conversation.
He was, but I'll be really interested. Is obviously it's not going to be an easy decision when there's friendships and family and all of the above involved. And so yeah, and then also he didn't get the head job. How does that affect him?
Yeah.
Deep down, like, I don't know, and I don't know the answer to that. But I think he's got a real tough decision on, do I go out, kind of venture from the nest and go try this DC thing and see how it works out at Syracuse, or do I stay, have a great contract, kick ass on defense, and if we have a top 5 defense for the next 3 years, which between him, Elko, and the players they've got, how quickly does that translate into a? Because you look at a place like a Syracuse, that level, I think he could be a head coach there in a year or two. Somewhere like that pops open is going to look at Elijah Robinson.
I don't disagree at all.
Yeah, but if this team is a top 10 team next year with one of the best defenses in the country, what door does that open a year from now for him?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, by then, I think he can be a head coach at a level that he's thinking that he's got the offer anyway to go be a DC at.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. We went super long. It was good next here on TexAgs Radio. All right, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the final countdown. Guys, we have a short segment here to get back on the clock. So before we do Pick 6, we'll do Pick 6 in a little bit. I'll ask you a question.
It's a big week.
Is there any way the SEC doesn't get a team?
Nah. I don't.
Well, if there's any sanity out there, there's no way on earth. Like you're gonna sit there as a voter and not put the conference who's won like the last 18 championships not in the playoffs. That would be the most ludicrous thing anybody has ever done. The champion has come out of the SEC for y'all know the answer to this X number of years since it's been in existence, and to not have that conference represented is just a joke. And if it doesn't happen, then shame on them. That's dumb.
So if Georgia loses?
So you're telling me
I'm asking.
For the SEC to get left out, you're telling me that number 8 beats number 1 and number 7 leapfrogs that number 1, but number 8 doesn't leapfrog 7.
I think most people believe Texas gets in before Bama.
I've heard people say that, and I understand the whole what happens on the field matters, but it's also about the 4 best teams.
Can we talk about the number 5 and 6? Texas magically jumping them? Oregon and Ohio State?
Well, I mean, they're going to jump Ohio State because they'll be a conference champion.
Yeah, I think that'll push them over. I think Oregon stays ahead of Texas.
If they win.
If they win, Oregon stays ahead. Washington goes below. Then you're looking at what does if
FSU wins,
who might be on their 3rd-string quarterback now. This is amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
It's amazing what's happening to the Texas Longhorns this season with.
How many backup quarterbacks did they play?
And I know they had backup quarterbacks over there. They had to play without Ewers. Go look at who they played. Okay, the best team they played without Ewers was Kansas State at home, and that was the only one with even a pulse. And
they should have beat them.
They played Wyoming's backup quarterback. They played Baylor's backup quarterback. They played.
They played U of H, but that was their starter.
U of H had a starter. They barely beat U of H. I believe they played TCU's backup quarterback. They barely beat TCU. It took a miracle catch from A.D. Mitchell. Great use of the portal, by the way. They now they played. Here's a big one. They played Kansas's backup quarterback.
That's right.
Jaden Daniels.
Bean.
No, they played against Bean. What's his name? Jaden. Anyway, the quarterback at Kansas. Without him, who's
Jalen Daniels.
Jalen Daniels. I say Jaden Daniels and Jalen Daniels.
So it's tough. That's a tough one.
Thank you.
I agree.
I got your back.
And I'm talking Jalen Henderson here at Aggieland lately. But they played Kansas without him. That's a massive. That's by far and away their best player, and they're pretty solid team with him. It's just been one of those. Kansas State gifted it to them with a horrific decision. They've been living the charmed life, but this takes the cake. This takes the cake. 2 weeks before the end of the season, Hunter goes down. Okay, Jordan Travis.
Sorry,
Hunter Travis. Jordan Travis goes down. Okay, he's out for the season. Now, Florida State with their backup gets by Florida. Now they're going to the ACC championship, taking him to play Louisville, and they might be playing with their 3rd-string QB.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Because of it. A late hit late in the football game.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's like whatever roadblock was there without them doing anything, it's just doing this. Meanwhile, when A&M tried to get in the playoff, you had Kirk Herbstreit openly weeping on TV, trying to get Ohio State in. So it's enough to drive you nuts, but I also have watched enough championship weekend to say, let's see what happens, because you never know when the Aggies are going to go knock off Kansas State on the same day that, everything else falls apart.
Let's go, OSU. Let's go.
Edgerrin James runs for 300 yards and knocks off Cade McNown in UCLA on the same day that Texas A&M.
Wait, real quick. I want your opinion. Go back to the SEC talk. You're telling me, I'm talking about the conference. I don't care who that person is. We're talking about a one-loss SEC champion not being invited for the first time ever.
So you'd have to say, let's say Washington wins, Michigan wins, so that's 2. Florida State wins, that's in this debate too. And then it would be Texas going in as a conference champ over a one-loss
over Ohio State,
Georgia, who didn't win their conference, who lost to the team that Texas beat, and it would be Texas going in over a one-loss Bama, 2 conference champs, Texas winning the head-to-head. See, I have a hard time. I actually would have a harder time with Texas going in over Georgia because I've watched football all year, and their whole spiel is like right now that they're saying to keep Florida State out is who are the best teams. It's supposed to get the 4 best teams. Then if that's the case, we know Georgia's in no matter what happens, unless Bama runs them out of this building in Atlanta because Georgia is the best team. We've watched it all year.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to argue Michigan, you can, but Georgia is the best team. If you want to say who looks the best right now, Oregon looks light years better than Texas. That's why I think Oregon should go over Texas if they beat Washington, which they will. But Texas over Georgia, you're going to go, well, they're a conference champ. And I'm going to say they won the Big 12.
Some conference.
Which is
I know, which you're leaving.
Which is bad as it's ever been. To win their conference championship game, they are going to have to beat a team that lost, what'd they lose to? South Alabama. They got humiliated. And they lost to Central Florida 45-3. That's who Texas has to beat on Saturday, whereas Georgia will have to beat Bama. Bama will have to beat Georgia. And I know Texas beat Bama in the week 2. I'm just not sure that should get them in, but there's part of me on principle that does feel like if it comes down to Alabama or Texas, I would almost on principle say Texas has got to go.
So Bama basically doesn't have a chance.
In their house by more than a score.
Yeah.
Bama basically
in my world, they shouldn't.
But Bama doesn't have a chance, basically.
Well, Texas could lose.
Texas could lose it, and
but in my world,
I can't fathom it.
Seth is flabbergasted.
I hate to say that because I'm always about be realistic. Like have some common freaking sense and watch football committee. Like it's your damn job.
But they don't care about that.
You got to look at how crappy, and it's so hard not to use the S word there because it's so much worse than crappy, that conference is. And look at the kind of the primrose path Texas has been down. That would be what I would normally say. And I would say, hell yeah, one lost or Georgia that didn't win its because Texas went into Bryant-Denny and beat Alabama. I don't care what part of this. I know Bama looks better than Texas right now. But because I say that, they barely beat Auburn last week. It took a miracle. Because they went in there and won that game, true. I think that supersedes.
Oh, no.
And to me, it goes ahead of the fact that, hey, the Big 12.
Let's just be real, though. I'm jumping the gun, but I'm picking Georgia to win that game.
I am, too.
Yeah.
I am, too.
But let me ask you this. What's a better win? Beating a 11th-ranked Alabama with a struggling quarterback at Alabama, or beating the number 1 ranked team in the country on a neutral site.
Bama would have a
or losing to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Instead of break, we will actually do pick 6 when we come back. Go through all the games next on TexAgs Radio. And we are back, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. In a moment, we're going to go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center because we're going to play the game of Pick Six. And that is where we can find Hannah Harrison as she runs right back to her chair as she was helping out Seth to see something on her computer. Hannah, I bought some time for you. Hello.
Thank you. That was quite literally a skedaddle. Anyways. Y'all ready for the first pick this week?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Nuño's real cocky right now.
No, I'm actually not.
Pulled into first place.
That's great.
Confetti.
I was gonna say.
What'd you do? Go 5-1 or something?
I did well last
God
week. Yeah.
dang.
But thank you, sir.
Are you in first?
I am.
I've got a shot. I've got an
one
outside
game.
shot.
But if I was smart, I would just do all your same picks.
We're gonna have to, exactly. We're gonna have to know your picks because I got to make up
go
some
first.
ground.
I've been doing it forever, and I've won it once.
Why does that? Wait.
He's been doing it forever. He's won it once.
Yeah, I feel like I've won it more than once.
Wait a second. I'm not gonna tell you what I got. If you didn't listen to the show,
never won.
You missed out.
I was busy driving up here.
Who's won him? The Walrus won a couple years ago.
We need to have a.
We
need to find out.
Yeah, let's get
some
three.
Well, I might change my mind when
Dalton,
I hear yours.
whoever's in charge back there, keeping the track of this. We need like a yearly running list of who's
Ethan
won.
Jones.
Ethan is he?
Ethan's the one in charge of it.
Rocco won it one year, I believe.
Rocco, yeah, I do remember that.
He did, and that was when he was like 12.
He was the walrus, probably.
Look, we've lost to Rocco. We've lost to Candace. We've lost to Gabe. I'm sure he's won at least one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Olin's won it.
I won the Eagle last year, so
that's pretty wild.
Did they have a picture of a walrus in your for your picture?
I don't remember, but
my problem was the Eagle one. Cease has changed the dates. And I keep missing it and having to go like 3 times. I've had to go with the consensus.
I love that group picture y'all did with all the people from the Eagle that we were doing the picks. Didn't y'all do like a group pick together?
No, it just has everybody's picture, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what you're
getting that ordered out.
I think y'all should
Nuño,
do
I'm rooting for you over these two. Let's just put that.
I hope I win, but I'm not very cocky. I keep it quiet.
No, get ahead of yourself.
Let's go. I'm gonna win this.
Speaking of cocky, here goes this guy with the wraparound beard.
Oregon,
he's starting to look like the lead singer
Washington.
from Alabama.
That's a good look for him.
They're going with Oregon as 9.5 point favorites.
Washington has not been real impressive lately.
Yeah, they really.
But they keep winning.
I
think people are writing them. And by the way, they beat Oregon.
I'm not going. I'm picking Washington on this.
I am too to cover. I'm actually picking Oregon to win.
Yeah, I don't really care if they win. They're going to cover that.
Esteban?
Who'd you pick? Nuño.
I'm gonna wait till he talks.
Oh, this is some bull crap.
This
right
is
here.
the way you roll.
Well,
we'll alternate then.
Huh?
How many picks?
Just one.
Oh.
We're gonna alternate then. You go. I'll go first, and then you can go first. Okay. I'm gonna go Washington to cover.
I went Washington as well.
Oh,
I did earlier at 8 o'clock in the morning. I went. Yeah.
All right.
Woo.
Pick
Sorry,
two.
Hannah.
All right. Next up, you have Oklahoma's number 18 Oklahoma State at number 7 Texas. Texas is favored by 14.5. Parlay.
I'm going. This is going to be emotional, and I'm picking Oklahoma State to not only cover but to win this game.
Christmas.
Dang, Seth. I hope you're right.
Because I hate Texas that much, and just the thought of them in the playoffs makes me want to vomit. So there.
Okay.
Well, I'm going Texas to cover, like maybe double that cover. Maybe win by 28-30. Oklahoma State is rancid.
You want me to tell you what I did?
Hang on.
Yes,
Oklahoma State is horrific, Seth.
Yeah.
They are
I
playing
don't care.
And Texas has a good run defense.
a rancid football team in their championship when other teams are playing real teams. They've played rancid football teams for the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Do you think that 18 is glamour just to give Texas more notoriety that they beat a ranked team?
They are going to pummel them. Like how is Oklahoma State ranked 18th when they've lost as bad as they have to UCF and
they had
South Alabama?
Such a soft schedule, man.
Anyway, Route Central. I would pick that one, and I would pick Washington to cover. I'd feel really good about that type of little. I know the parlays are like sucker bets, but I'd feel great about that.
Steve, for your info, I did take Texas.
Yeah, I mean, Billy pretty much talked me into that pick.
Okay.
With that rant.
Good. So that means I got one up on y'all.
All Oklahoma State.
And how many points behind are you? 2?
I don't know.
I think you're only 2 behind.
I'm rooting for you, Seth.
All right.
Yeah.
You're 3 behind. Hannah?
All right, next up you have SMU at number 22, Tulane. Tulane is favored by 5.5.
Willie Fritz.
I've not watched either of these teams.
I know this. Every time I turn on the TV on like a random Thursday or Friday night, SMU is beating the brakes off somebody. But
they are.
He's done a good job up there, Rhett Lashley. But didn't their quarterback go down?
I think
this
that's
past
right.
weekend? And he's really
They're on the
good.
backup quarterback.
And Willie Fritz has done a damn remarkable job at Tulane the last couple of years.
He sure has.
U of H is kind of deciding. I know Traylor's involved in that. Fritz. I think either one of those would be a great hire for the Cougars. But I love what Fritz is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want substance there at U of H and like just a guy that just wins, you couldn't have hired him here in that situation. But I bet if you would have, the guy would have won.
Yeah,
He's that good.
So you
Steve,
Tulane.
you, and then me.
Steve,
I'm gonna go Tulane.
Steve, quit copying me.
I mean, bro, you're making some good
It's
cases here. I don't know anything about them.
I don't know either.
Like it's like he's cheating on the test. You just rolled in like, let me see your scan.
Exactly. Who's ever watched any of these teams play?
I'm just trying to win here, guys.
I took Tulane as well.
We're gonna have to switch
things up.
I'm saying state.
I'm not going into a tie with
booking you right now.
I'm a big Dallas guy. SMU. Book it.
SMU. You might get right. Like that's.
Seth, probably a big bottle service guy.
Yeah, right.
He's going to roll into
Dallas. Don't get me started. Dallas
after the SMU game.
Dallas
pop bottles.
Houston is
Never
what it's
forget.
all about. I can't believe
celebrates turnovers with a bottle popping.
Oh, do they?
We technically should hit a break here. Should we hit the break and do the final three in the last one, or just knock it out and ask for forgiveness?
It's up to you.
Let's hit a break. We will come back with the final three here on Pick 6 on TexAgs Radio. 3 games to go here on Pick 6, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Hannah, let's finish it off.
Surprise!
Oh, no.
Hey, and before we get into the final 3 games of Pick 6, guys, I've got some breaking news. A new Texas Filmworks reboot of All the President's Men, starring Ryan Brauninger and Jason Howe, coming soon to a theater near you.
While I appreciate
All the Sources Men.
While I appreciate a good Photoshop,
what is this?
I think this one.
Actually, Howell's looks good.
Yeah, I mean,
Ronnie doesn't look.
Y'all should have put Brawny in some with some trucker arm cut off,
sleeveless shirt
they're
with
doing,
a suit on.
These two are doing a great job. Well, I'll leave it at that. They're doing a better job covering the recruiting end of the transition better than that effort by Zane. But Richard, look, I'm the one that gets on you about, hey, you guys work. Don't just sit out there in the lobby and talk. So anytime you want to do something like this, you've got free reign. Have fun with it.
There you go.
Thank you, Jamie Mari, for the Photoshop. And I believe the sources are telling us that the source is going to be the new Ben Bradley. So looking forward to seeing you in that picture, Billy.
Thank you, Richard, for that.
By the way, we're probably going to run out of time on the zone, so I apologize. Keep it on YouTube for the end of it. And
there he goes.
Again,
what time do we in? We got like 8 minutes.
No, we got 4.
He's going to get
we got 4.
reprimanded. Let's go.
Okay,
who's there? Let's go.
I'll go first. I'm going.
Olin.
This is a little gamesmanship. I think that Nuño picked Michigan, so I'm picking Iowa.
Who'd you pick, Nuño?
I picked Michigan.
Yes.
Give me Iowa, baby. Woo. We're going to separation Saturday.
Did y'all see that meme and the gif where the punter wears number 9 for Iowa? And he ran out, and they put the Burrow running out for his last game at senior night at LSU underneath, and you see it, and it looks exactly the same. And it's like really, he is as important to that football team as Burrow was to the 2019 LSU. And it looks exactly the same. They're running through.
The punter.
Yeah, no, the punter. So I was going to be doing a lot of punting on Saturday. I think Michigan, well, you know what? These games get weird sometimes, Steve. Harbaugh's back, though, isn't he?
He's back.
Yeah.
Going to be back with a vengeance.
Could be a blowout.
I think Iowa, though, hangs in because Kirk Ferentz always just like he lurks around and he hangs around Iowa like a bad fart. They can't get rid of him. He lingers and he offends everyone in the room with his offensive coaching. And he's going to drag Michigan into that fog. And they're gonna
I don't think Iowa can move the ball at all.
This is too descriptive, dude.
Yeah.
They're 10-2. That's how you stick around.
Yeah.
All
they're
right.
going to cover.
So
Michigan's going to win
cover, and you
by
took
21.
I said I was going to cover. Yeah.
Oh, so all 3 of you are saying Iowa. Okay.
You went Michigan?
Yeah, I went Michigan.
Yeah. There you go.
Here's your chance.
Baby.
Here you go. Here's where you win it.
One. That's the only game I'm watching.
Is Hannah there? Who's there? Anybody?
I'm back.
Hannah.
All right, go.
I got back. All right, number 14 Louisville versus number 4 Florida State. Florida State's favored 2.5.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the quarterback's going to play and Florida State's going to cover this, and they're going to stay in the national championship hunt and kick Texas out. Another hopeful pick.
You like that backup quarterback, right? What's his name?
Like him.
What's his name, Seth?
Start Jalen.
It's a good guess.
There's a lot of
Rodemaker, right? Rodemaker.
I think we went 4 different, so you might win this whole thing.
He's not going to win it because Louisville's unfortunately going to beat Florida State, a team they had no chance to beat had Hunter Travis been healthy. They're going to beat them. They're going to beat Florida State, and it's just enough of lulled to sleep because they lost to a distracted Mark Stoops in Kentucky last week, and it's just enough to wake them up. They're going to get Louisville's best, and that's going to be too much for this quarterback that looked not good last week.
Not too good, yeah. My heart wants to pick freaking Florida State, but my head is telling me Louisville is going to win this game.
Louisville it is. I picked Louisville as well.
Oh, wow. Dude,
you can win the whole thing,
I'm going to win
baby.
this thing if it goes the way I'm going.
You might actually fall back behind me.
I don't care at this point. I'm going
happen.
straight for the win.
We're going to go over on YouTube unless we can finish in 20 seconds.
Oh, let's do it.
Number 1 Georgia versus number 8 Alabama. Georgia's favored 6.5.
Boom. Georgia covers. Texas, go
I'm taking Georgia.
Somewhere else.
I'm taking Georgia to
I
cover
take Georgia.
well.
Yes.
All right, so we got one game difference. All we can do is tie.
Georgia 31-23.
But he can catch us.
He can catch us.
He can win. He took 4 different.
He's not going to win.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, however you took in the show, and we'll see you on Monday. Thank you.